It's a beautiful time to be an Alpha Male 2.0. It's not a beautiful time to live in the United States right now. But I move out of the country in about 3 weeks, so I don't fucking care. Can you hear that sound? Can you hear that? What's that sound? That's the sound of Caleb moving out of the collapsing USA in February. But before I go, I have some questions to answer from you guys. This is my latest and greatest Ask Me Anything AMA video. And I have approximately, literally, I'm looking at another screen here, by the way, 22 pages of questions you guys have sent in. And for the next 17 hours, I will sit here in this chair and answer all of your questions. Yeah, so get a cup of coffee and get comfortable because we're going to be here a while. Holy shit. Last time I did this, I think it was 3.5 hours. I don't have no idea how long this video will be. I mean, you're probably watching the video now and you can see how long it is. So you know more than I do in terms of how long this video will be, but I'll go for as long as I need to. I'm a little jet lagged today, so I've been back from Dubai just a few days. I'm still not quite 100%. As you can tell, I have much lower energy today than I normally have. So if I'm off a little bit, that's why. I'm still not 100% yet. Let's cover the format first, and then I'll get into the questions. So, any coaching questions have been removed. Hey, Caleb, I had a girl who texted me and said this. What should I do? Those kinds of questions have been removed. This is an AMA, not a coaching session. If you need coaching, you need to go to joinsmic.com and give me money, and then I can coach you. I can't coach you for free. Sorry. Any questions that were comments have been removed. So a few of you sent in questions that were really not questions. They were just comments. So we've removed those. This is an AMA, ask me. You have to ask me a question. There were questions collected from our email, from Instagram, from YouTube, all the sources, and we have collated the big list here. I've glanced about a third of these questions, fourth of these questions. So most of these questions I've not seen yet. I want to give you kind of extemporaneous answers to make it more realistic and shit. I will answer anything except for the 2 or 3 things I normally can't answer. Let me cover those really quick. I've covered these before. I'll cover them again in case you don't know. I cannot answer any specific numbers from my financial life. Caleb, how much money do you make? Caleb, what is your net worth? Caleb, where exactly are you invested? I cannot answer these questions for numerous reasons. I wrote an entire article about that about a year or 2 ago. You can look at my blog, and it's called something like Why I Don't Talk About Financial Numbers. So if you wonder why I can't answer those questions, go read that article. Another specific number I can't answer, it's the only number I can't answer for my woman life, because everything else in my woman life I'll tell you about, obviously, I talk about woman life all the time, is how many women have you fucked, Caleb? I'm not going to answer that question because every time someone answers that question, it causes nonstop nitpick stupid arguments on the internet, so I'd rather not waste my time. If you really want to know that number, you're just going to have to guess. The number is 1 billion. I've had sex with 1 billion women. A third of all the women on the planet. That's my number. What else can't I answer? So this came up in the last AMA I did. Did you fuck so-and-so? I will not answer those questions for obvious reasons, including legal reasons. If you really want to know if I fucked someone, go contact her and ask her. And if she answers you and answers yes, then I can comment. But I can't comment first. She has to comment first. Otherwise, sorry, I can't answer those questions. What else can I not answer? That's about it. Any, detailed information about Pink Firefly's life. I can talk in generalities about Pink Firefly and some very specific things. But in terms of real details and specific personal details from her life, as I've talked about before, Pink Firefly never asked to become an online famous internet personality. So I can't answer detailed questions about her personal life. That's it. I'll answer pretty much everything else. As you guys know, I'm pretty open about this stuff. I tell you guys everything, So let me scroll down here. So what we've done is all the names have been removed from these questions. So you'll be anonymous. And that way I didn't want to know who you were. I wanted just to answer the question on its own. And the questions have all been randomized in a random order. So we had them, like I said, Instagram, email, what else? YouTube, various other places. So these all been randomized questions. And one last note here is that if any questions are super fucking long, I saw some of them that were. If you wrote like paragraphs and paragraphs in your question, dude, concise, okay? Concise questions. So I may have to skip over some of your question or not read it. So that's it. Okay. Are we ready? We're ready to go? Snake Plissken is right there. He's protecting me. Or he looks like he's trying to kill me. Little bastard. Okay. Let's see here. Let me get this shit together here. This video will have minimal editing or even no editing. I don't know. So it's going to be raw. If I make mistakes, I make mistakes, and that's just the way it goes, motherfucker. All right. Here we go. Question number 1. How do you see the Great Reset changing the global financial system, and how do you think it will affect gold/crypto ownership? From the research I've done on it so far, it appears to be a global debt restructuring scheme by the elites, as a lot of governments are in heavy debt. That's correct, more or less. I've also heard talk that the Great Reset, excuse me, will phase in central bank digital currencies. Okay, so 2 answers to that question. Number 1, digital currencies. Yes, what we're likely going to run into, and this is not a prediction, but this is a best guess, is in the next few years, you're going to run into a war between 3 digital currencies: Bitcoin, China coin, whatever that ends up being called, and the Fed coin, the American government digital currency. Bitcoin is here now. China coin is going to be here really soon, like really, really soon. Fed coin is going to be here down the road because, as usual, America is stupid and insane and slow, and China knows exactly what they're doing. So, as usual, China will beat America to this. I didn't say China is good. I didn't say China wasn't evil. I said China knows exactly what they're doing, and America doesn't. So, the China coin is right around the corner, very quick. America will be lagging after that. But it's going to be a war between those 3 in terms of what becomes the crypto standard in the world. Most likely that'll happen. My hope is that that standard is Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin guys are going to say, yes, 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 Bitcoin. That's probably not what's going to happen. What's likely going to happen is that China coin will be the standard, or maybe less of a possibility the Fed coin will be a standard. And here's the reason. Bitcoin comes from companies and comes from individuals. These 2 things have profit and loss statements. We give a shit about how much money we make. Central banks don't have a P&L. They can do whatever the fuck they want. So, give you an example. Let's say you've got a company in South America that wants to borrow $500,000 or the equivalent. And so they can borrow it in Bitcoin, right? But if they borrow it from Bitcoin, they're going to be borrowing it from a bank, a commercial bank, or someone like me with Bitcoin. So let's say they borrow from me. I'm going to want them to pay me interest, 5%, 10%, whatever. Or they can go to China coin, and China can say, hey, we'll charge you 1%. And if you have any problems paying it back, we'll just bail you out. Because China can do that because it's a central bank. It's not a business. So who would you borrow your money from? You wouldn't borrow from me. You'd borrow from China. So it's decently possible that you will have a federal or government-backed cryptocurrency that will be the new standard. And that would be very, very bad. Very, very bad for a lot of us. Now, again, if you're Alpha 2.0, you'll be protected to a large degree, but it'll still be very, very bad. Yes. Second answer to this question you've got here is, y'all got to calm down about the fucking Great Reset. The Great Reset should really be called the Great Western Reset. Who are the countries that are really pumped about the Great Reset? If you look at it carefully, it is the usual suspects, the collapsing West. America, Canada, Western Europe, Australia, New Zealand. You think Belarus gives a fuck about the Great Reset? You think Colombia or Paraguay gives a shit about this? You think Tanzania gives a shit about the Great Reset? When these hoppy-poppy left-wing countries, these Western countries say everything should be electrical by 2030 or whatever, these countries laugh. So don't worry about this. It will be the big, stupid, collapsing countries that embrace this bullshit, and a lot of the smaller, more maneuverable countries are just going to give them the finger. Matter of fact, some of them already have. So don't fucking worry about it, number 1. Number 2, you shouldn't be surprised at big governments trying to become more left. Every government not every government, every large Western government on earth has become more authoritarian and more left every year, and that's been the case for the past 50 years, my lifetime. I don't know why you guys are surprised when suddenly these governments want to become more socialist. Where have you been? That's just the trend, so don't worry about it. All right. Next question. I'm a big fan of Colombia, and in your recent videos, you also praised its economic potential. I agree that it is a great country for investment / doing business. However, I do not think it would be a very good country to relocate to because taxes are too high. Do you agree or disagree? By the way, I hope your move to Singapore goes well at the beginning of 2021. Unlike Colombia, Singapore is a great country to move to for tax reasons. I am not moving to Singapore, but thank you. I can't tell you where I'm moving yet for legal reasons, but in 3 weeks I can. 3 weeks from the recording of this video. So you'll find out really quick. So Colombia, I don't remember. I was just having a discussion with the Focus program guys yesterday. If Colombia doesn't charge taxes on your worldwide income, then it doesn't matter what their tax structure is. However, someone told me yesterday that that Colombia does charge tax on worldwide income if you reside there. So if that's the case, you're right. That's not good. I'm sure there are ways around that if you are not a resident or if you are not a citizen. I have not looked into Colombian tax law carefully, so I really can't answer that question. But the bottom line is a tax rate of a country doesn't matter if they only tax income you make in that country. For example, Paraguay will only tax you on income you make from inside Paraguay. So you could make $1 billion outside of Paraguay and you pay zero tax in Paraguay. I believe Colombia is similar, but I could be wrong on that, and I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments. Maybe Colombia does charge worldwide income. This is one of the reasons, by the way, I did not move to Australia or New Zealand. Australia specifically. They wanted to tax me worldwide income even if I was there for a month a year. Insane. So, there you go. You mentioned in your videos you are quite used to watching movies, but it's something you do not do. But it's not something you do anymore. Why is that? I wrote an article about 2 years ago at my blogs. You can go look at it, still there. I think it was the late 2017, Why I No Longer See Movies. We're in a state of cultural collapse as well as economic collapse. Hollywood can't make good movies anymore. Have you seen these new Star Wars movies? Did you see the last Terminator movie? Did you see the last Predator movie? Are you fucking kidding me? These movies are terrible. So I stopped watching movies. Yes, it is now very rare I see movies. So last year, 2020, with these movie theaters being shut down, it really didn't bother me at all. We just watched the latest Wonder Woman movie here at home. Pink Firefly and I. It was a tub of shit. Hollywood can't make movies anymore. Good movies. With the exception of the Marvel movies, and even those are starting to falter. But that's the one exception, though. That's why. It's sad. I love movies. A big part of my life, big part of my childhood. In the 80s and 90s, movies were great. In the early 2000s, they were great. Now they're shit. Sucks. So that's why. And I wrote a whole article about this. You can go look it up. Something like, Movies I Give Up, or something like that. You currently describe yourself to be in, quote, high six figures income. When are you forecasted to hit 1 million plus per year in income? How do you know I'm not there now? I never told you how much money I make. But sorry, pal, can't answer that question. I cannot talk about my income. You're just going to have to guess. How is your annual income percentage-wise divided currently among your 3 companies? So that fluctuates and changes all the time. There's no standard way of doing it. There's no standard set percentage. I have not looked at the numbers for the specific year-end numbers yet for 2020. So my best guess in terms of right this second, right now, which will change 6 months from now and was different 6 months prior, I would say that my Alpha Male 2.0 company is probably about 40%. Marketing company is about 40%. Consulting is about 20%. I am backing off on the consulting stuff because I'm making too much money other places. Matter of fact, your next question here, is your Alpha Male 2.0 Caleb Jones business your current focus at the moment? How much time are you spending on it versus your 2 other businesses? How is this likely to look in the future? And your next question is, because it all kind of relates to my answer here, do you currently do much business consulting still? So here's the answer to all those questions. I will summarize the answer because it's pretty complicated. My Alpha 2.0 company, I am now scaling. I'm not optimizing it anymore. I'm scaling it. And so I'm just managing the scaling process through other people we're going to hire. We're going to do things like hire salespeople this year for the first time. We're going to do things this year for the first time to do multiple joint ventures. I'm just scaling that business. So that's going to take less of my time, but still takes some of my time. I am revamping my marketing. I'm making several changes in all 3 of my companies for 3 reasons. Number one, I'm going to be out of the country in a few weeks. So now I am finally unshackled from the American tax system. Not 100%, but mostly. So there's things I can do now in my business life that were difficult to do before moving out, before executing my 5 flags. So that's reason number one. Reason number 2 is I'm coming up with the second phase of my life, starting when I'm 53 in about 4 years. And so that's necessitating, is that a great word? Necessitating some changes. And number 3, COVID has changed some things, so I'm adjusting for COVID changes. Hang on a second. I think I'm getting a text. Let's see what's going on here. Pink Firefly has just sent me a text. Let's see what it says. House will proceed impeachment of Trump. Yeah. Pink Firefly is keeping up on all the Trump shit. Obviously, I don't give a fuck. Let me put my phone down so I can't see that anymore. Where was I? So my marketing company, I'm completely revamping that into something else because that was selling online or is selling online IT services. I am revamping that into something completely different that is radically different from something I've ever done before. It will actually violate 1 or 2 Alpha Male 2.0 tenets, but there's so much money involved. Hi, Pink Firefly. Hang on, I'm going to pause the video. Hang on a second. Okay, sorry about that. Pig Firefly had to show me a new outfit. She's laughing over there. I have a rough life. So anyway, that new business is something I've never done before. It involves some big dollars. It involves me doing business with some other people, into business with some other people. I don't really want to talk about what it is yet, because if I do, I'm going to get bombarded with questions, and I don't like to answer questions about things I have not done yet. So maybe in 6 months, I'll talk about what I'm doing with that business. And then yes, the consulting, I've backed way down on that stuff since that's selling hours for dollars. Not quite the way I do it with value-based pricing, but I'm just making too much money in other scalable ways beyond that. And consulting is something I've done for 25, 26 years. So I think I'm good. So by the end of 2021, I will be doing no consulting unless something very weird happens. There's an exception to every rule sometimes. If something very strange happens, if someone comes along and offers to drop a big mountain of money on my head, maybe I'll say yes. But other than that bizarre scenario, I will be doing no consulting by the end of the year. So I will be down to 2 companies instead of 3, but that's okay because Alpha 2.0 business model necessitates 2 to 4 businesses. So instead of 3, I'll have 2. So there you go. Pink Firefly's clanking around up there. Let's see, where was I? To what degree for you, Five Flags is a commercial decision versus your dream to live an international lifestyle? 0%, because I could live an international lifestyle without doing Five Flags. I could not do Five Flags and just travel and even live abroad. So one has nothing to do with the other. Five Flags is purely 100% a business financial decision for me, primarily taxes and banking and investment opportunities. That's primarily why I'm doing it. Now, there's 14 other reasons why I'm doing it. I can't stand living in the United States. But that's probably reason number 4, number 5, and number 6. Reason number 1 is taxes and things like that. So there you go. What do you think you will do when you need to make the decision later this year whether to sacrifice growth potential in your company or violate your own Alpha 2.0 business principles? So I mentioned this earlier. I will not be violating that, I think, in my Alpha Male 2.0 company. In my new business venture, I will be violating 1.5 out of the 8. So there's 8 requirements for an Alpha Male 2.0 business. You can read The Unchained Man to see what they are. And this new company I am starting right now, which will be my primary focus, now and will be for the next few months, is, let's see, what's the big one? Oh, one requirement is you have to own 100% of your own business. And that will not be the case in this company. I will own 60 to 70% of it, probably 60. The other 40% will be owned by a board of directors and various other people. So that violates that tenet. And then one of them is it cannot be paperwork intensive. Unfortunately, this new business is going to be very paperwork intensive, which I fucking hate, but it's enough money where I don't care. Not a lot. I mean, I'm going to outsource all that stuff, but it's still, so I'm saying maybe 50% violation of that rule. All the rest, it's still Alpha 2.0. It is location independent. There's some travel required, but not much. But you can still be location independent with some travel in there. It's fine. Every other aspect of Alpha 2.0, it follows. Trying to think of any of it. Yeah, I mean, there's employees involved, but they're not my employees. I know that's complicated. Maybe I'll explain later. But anyway, so that's it. I don't plan on violating that model set for my Alpha Male 2.0 company this year. Maybe next year, who knows what happens. But so far, I haven't needed to do that. All right, moving on. Let's see here. Excuse me. A lot of burps and like weird shit with my mouth lately. I don't know if it's, jet lag or something else. Hang on. Explain in a few bullet points why the Western world is going to collapse. Any further reading on that? Any other books, authors, references? Bullet points. Too much debt by the governments. Fucked up currency by the governments. Too much debt by the population. Cultural collapse. People getting stupider. Insane voters who cannot solve problems. This is Trump supporters, left-wingers, Europeans, everybody. People don't know how to vote for proper leaders. Corrupt leadership that no one does anything about and people support. Boy, I could go on and on. Banks that are way over leveraged. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on. Bullet points, there's 47 bullet points. Those are the big ones. Further reading on that, other books, authors, references. It depends on what area in which you want to read about. Cultural collapse, the banks, the government, the people. I mean, that's a very complicated question to answer in a quick thing like that. I could do a video on that, though. I should probably do a YouTube video on that. How do you monitor a woman's period? just asking, or other systems. So you need to buy the Ultimate Open Relationships Manual. I have an entire section in there on how you track a woman's period. The way women track it, the best way for women to track it is with an app. And theoretically, you could use one of these period apps. A better way to do it is just use a spreadsheet, and I have the template in there for the 8 days or 9 days that you simply move down the spreadsheet. The only question you need to ask her is, what was the first day of her period? So you need to constantly be asking her, when did you start your period? So if she texts you and says, I'm on my period, your very next question is, what day did you start? And that's all you need to know. And if you track that day 3 months in a row, you'll get a really good picture of her cycle based on the spreadsheet. But it's all in that book. Does Alan Weiss advices regarding, why do Europeans call it advices? That's a European thing. Does Alan Weiss advices regarding specialty and consulting differ from yours, niching versus broad specialty? In terms of niching your market, no, we have no difference on that because he understands consultants can niche into industries. In terms of niching your offering, yes, we give opposite advice. He says you should go to a company and say, what's your problem? And no matter what they say, you say, I'll fix it. And so his thing is, I'll fix any problem in your company other than technical IT stuff. I'll fix any problem in your company. My advice is to set focus and niche your offering. Niche your market and niche your offering. I think it's better for new consultants to get from zero to the money as quickly as possible. Now, Alan Weiss is not a new consultant. He's been consulting for longer than most of us have been alive. He makes millions of dollars a year doing this stuff. So he can walk into a business, and I've done this too. Guys who have been consulting for decades, like me and Alan, can walk into a new company and say, what's your problem? All right, I'll help you fix it. But new consultants probably shouldn't. Intermediate consultants probably shouldn't do that, in my opinion. All right. Caleb, you say to guys, learn how to bring to orgasm extremely well to keep them coming back, but you give no information to guys on how to very proficiently do that. Incorrect. I have an entire chapter in the Ultimate Open Relationships Manual at haveopenrelationships.com on sexual techniques. It is the largest, I believe, the largest section in that book. I go through all the 4 different types of methods and specific ways on how to do that, so that's incorrect. I do talk about that. Publicly, I don't talk about that. Although I've written articles about vibrators and things like that. Let's see, he goes on, that's okay, you can't be an expert in everything, but it doesn't help well, you're wrong. I have told people how to give sexual techniques. It's in my books. So yes, he goes on, and he wants me to interview guys on sexual techniques, but I don't really interview people on my channel. So there you go. If sales phone closers are not required in your dating business versus others selling courses who have sales guys on phone, English must be your second language. Sales training / high ticket closer if some customers on sidelines would buy more courses if talked to live person. So yes, the rule of thumb with online sales is that if you sell a course or an online product for under about $2,000 to $3,000, the consensus is around $2,000 to $3,000. Anything under that, you can sell online. If you want to sell something that is more expensive than $2,000 to $3,000, you need a phone call and someone needs to close that person. Yes, this year I am hiring a sales staff to actually sell something I haven't released yet. It's called Alpha Male 2.0 Maximus. I haven't announced that yet, so if you ask me what that is, I can't tell you. So that's coming very, very, very shortly. And yes, I am hiring a sales staff to sell that, getting online leads and then closing over the phone. I'm doing that this year. Until then, no, I haven't needed to do that because none of my courses are more than $2,000. So that's kind of the cutoff, is $2,000 to $3,000 for you online guys. BD, I struggle sometimes with significance and being important. That is outcome dependence. You shouldn't give a fuck. Like, for instance, being a profession that's respectful, like a scientist, doctor, etc. How can I remove the feeling to be important and respected? That is outcome dependence. The Alpha Male 2.0 does not give a rat fuck what other people think about what he does for a living. Do you think my mom likes it that I talk about how to bang girls on the internet? Do you think my mom or dad like it that I have an open marriage? Do you think they like that I talk about this stuff? No. Do you think I care? No, I don't give a fuck. So you got to stop caring about what other people think. Now, I know that's easier said than done. I understand that. You probably built up a habit pattern of worrying about that. I also have a feeling, this is my guess, I would maybe bet $100 on this, that you are Asian or Indian. And if you're hyper concerned about what people think about what you do for a living, you're probably Asian or Indian or something like that. That is cultural societal programming. Look inward. What do you want for your life? What do you want to do? Stop giving a shit about what your family, I have a feeling you're talking about your family here, what your family thinks you do for a living. I don't give a rat fuck about what my family thinks. I don't give a rat fuck what my friends think. What you guys think. I don't even care what you guys think. Honestly, I don't. I don't care. And by me not caring, I get business and people buy my stuff. See how this all works? If I was really, really terrified about what you guys might think or my mom might think, you wouldn't subscribe to this YouTube channel. So let's just stop giving a fuck. At least reduce it by 20%. Your life belongs to you. It doesn't belong to your parents. It doesn't belong to your friends. It doesn't belong to people on the internet. Your life belongs to you. You make money any way you want to make money. All right, moving on. Exactly word for word, what is your mission statement? How has this evolved over the years? So I gave my mission a few years ago. I will tell it to you now. Please do not copy it. The problem with me giving things out like this is guys copy it. If you copy my mission, you're a fucking moron. Your mission is radically different than mine. So please don't copy my mission statement. Use your own, make up your own. I give you many, many templates and many examples in the Unchained Man. You don't need to copy mine. And if you copy mine, you're going to fuck up your life. One of the reasons I fucked up my life in my 20s is because I was copying the missions and goals and lifestyle structures from other men, and they weren't what I wanted. So, matter of fact, I've got it right here. Hang on. I know most of it by heart, but here's my mission statement. As a man who is the ideal example of long-term masculine happiness, financially, in business, with physical health, and with relationships, I will continue to help 1 million men achieve and maintain a life of long-term consistent happiness. From this and from businesses that help both men and companies, I have functionally unlimited wealth to do whatever I want and explore the entire world. That is my mission. Well, that's it, baby. How has this statement evolved over the years? It's evolved a little bit. So I established it when in my early 30s. I'm almost 50 now. I just tweaked it a little bit. It didn't radically change. I just tweaked it. I couldn't tell you exactly what I tweaked. Because notice I don't have Alpha Male 2.0 in there. I didn't have that term back when I wrote that mission statement. So it evolved a little bit, but not much. If you're radically changing your mission all the time, it probably wasn't your real mission to begin with. So there you go. What will be your next mission statement as you begin to transition to a new phase of your life in the next few years? So the mission will remain the same. The reason why I work will change. When I hit age 53, 54 in 2024, got about 3 years left. Well, 4 years technically, I guess, right? Do you count 2001? Anyway, it depends on whether I count 2004, but somewhere in there, 2024, excuse me. Right now, I work to make money. That's why I work. Now, I like to work. I also work because I like it. But I work to make money. I work to make a lot of money. My goal is to make a lot of money. And that's why I work. It's the primary reason why I work. Starting in 2024, somewhere in there, I'm going to switch where I will work to express myself in the world. I won't give a shit how much money I make. I'll still make money. Oh, don't worry about that. I'll still make money, but I won't care. It will not be the benchmark that I use in terms of my goals every year. I will use other benchmarks in terms of expressing myself in the world. And that's really it. So it's the reason why work will change. The nature of the work will change. My work schedule will change, things like that. It's not something that's going to just happen instantly. I'll probably ease into it. It might take me a year to ease into it. I don't know how that's going to work exactly. But that's the difference. But the mission really isn't going to change. We still recording here? Cool. Okay. Let's see. How do you stop being lazy and start taking action? In other words, I have half-assed on my goals and objectives. I'll have a timer for 5 hours of work, but will instead work for 3 hours in the afternoon. 5 hours is too long, dude. But will instead work 3 hours in the afternoon. I get tired. How can I be more energized and get all my work done even if I'm bored? You have two problems. Actually, you have three problems. Number one, don't set a timer for 5 hours. No one's going to work for 5 fucking hours straight. I can't do that. Or usually I can't do that. Depends what kind of work I'm doing. Set it for 1 hour. Set your timer for 1 hour and work, and then take a half an hour break and set a timer for a half an hour and fuck around the internet. Or play a video game, jerk off, I don't care. And then set a timer for another hour or an hour and a half. Work again. And then you'll eventually get 5 hours in that day. That's fine. Do that. Don't say 5 hours straight. No, you're not gonna be able to do that. Number one. Number two, you are lazy because you have not tapped into your discomfort. You are lazy because you're comfortable. Lazy is another word for comfortable. You're comfortable. both in my woman life and my financial life. The reason I achieved success in these two areas of my life is because in both these cases, I was extremely uncomfortable and I hated it. I hated being poor. I grew up when I was a young kid in a poor family, not poor, but very low strap, lower middle class. I hated it and I hated it. When I was 18 years old, I had to run around trying to pay my electric bill that was already 3 months late. I hated that. A lot of people don't mind being poor. I fucking hated it. So I went and made a lot of money very quickly. 6 figures by the time I was 27. In my woman life, I hated not having sex whenever I wanted with really hot chicks. I hated it, I hated it, I hated it. Again, most guys don't seem to care. They bitch and moan about it, but they don't get off their asses to do enough about it. I really tapped into my discomfort. You haven't done that. You're like, well, my life sucks, but it's not that bad. That's your attitude. That's why you're lazy. Number 3, you say you get tired. I never get tired. I'm jet lagged right now and I'm not tired. I don't get tired. The only time I'm ever tired is if I'm seriously jet lagged or very sick. Other than that, I'm not tired. You know why? I do everything I talk about. I get 8 in my case, 8 hours of sleep every night. I drink shitloads of water all day long. I exercise 6 times a week. I maintain my maximum hormonal levels, my testosterone, my estrogen levels, my T3. I go through all that stuff. I make sure that my body is optimized so I have the highest amount of energy all day long so I never get tired. And I'm working on things that excite me. But you have those other 3 problems, so work on those. By the way, what he's talking about is an epidemic with men today. They're lazy and tired. That's another word for beta. Caleb, I read your recently updated online dating manual, but when you got women to respond back and the online chatting gets to meeting up in person via getting women's phone number and this question is very long. Hang on. To logical text messaging. What is your Alpha 2.0 text messaging strategy? You can't phone women up as no one likes to answer their fucking smartphone anymore. Like, do you send a woman 1 or 2 texts maximum to arrange a meetup? And if she doesn't answer, if she fucks around, you delete her number. Okay, so here's my model, what I follow. The first time a woman ignores me, I will give her maybe a day and I'll text her again the next day. It really depends on when this occurs. If I'm already dating her or if this is pre-lock-in when I haven't had sex with her twice yet. So it really depends on that time frame. So I'll wait a day or 2. I'll send her another text. I will make sure to end the text with a question. If she ignores the second text, yes, I move on. That's it. If she doesn't, then I do what I can there. But I give a woman 2 chances. Do you communicate about seeing your FBs with your OLTR wife or not? And how do you handle it either way? The answer is yes. This has changed over the evolution of Pink Fireflies and my relationship. We've been together for 6 years now, and we've been serious for about, 4.5 years. So initially we started getting very serious. She was very uncomfortable about not knowing about my FBs. And I wrote about this at the time, it was like 3 or 4 years ago. I actually handed her my phone. I said, here's my phone, look at all my texts. And she'd go, ooh, and she went through all my texts and she saw the pictures of all the girls because you have pictures on the texts, and she went through everything. And so she knew everything. And matter of fact, when I wrote an article about that 3-4 years ago, all these guys said, oh my God, Caleb's a beta. I'm a beta? How many women have you fucked in the last 6 months? You want to compare numbers? You want to compare pictures of the Anyway, same argument as always. So she did that exactly 3 times. She looked at my phone 3 times over the next, I think, 6 weeks. And then she never did it again. She's like, all right, whatever. So today, she doesn't care. She just doesn't give a shit. She doesn't even ask. She used to ask a lot back when it was new to her. Now today, we've been together so long, she doesn't give a fuck. And that's how that works in OLTR marriages, long-term OLTR relationships. Eventually, your wife/girlfriend won't give a shit because it'll be normal to her. Back when it was a new thing to her, she was really interested. Now she doesn't care. The worst she does today, well, it's not worse, but the only time she asks today is, I'll come home for something, and she knows it's an FB because I put it on the calendar when I see my FBs. It actually says FB. We have a shared calendar. I do that as a courtesy to her, not because I have to. But I'll come home for one of those appointments, and she'll say, "Do you have fun with your FB?" And I'll go, "Yeah." And that's about it. So, but yeah, if she does ask, I tell her, and sometimes I talk about people, sure. Sometimes I show her pictures. Usually she doesn't care. So yeah. Hey, Caleb, any resources on getting clients on LinkedIn? The best LinkedIn book I've ever read is called LinkedIn Success by Wayne Breitbarth. That ends in a TH, Breitbarth. Really, really, really good book. He's a really good resource for LinkedIn. He's awesome. Hey, Caleb. Hey, I am a 23-year-old guy learning Mandarin Chinese, currently working in the U.S. Good for you. Fantastic. A+. Do you think living in China while building an Alpha 2.0 business is a smart move? Fuck yeah, that's a smart move. That's a great move. If I was your age, I would do something like that. That's almost exactly what I would do, probably. Obviously, I'd incorporate somewhere like Singapore. Okay, good. My family literally thinks I'm crazy and that China is dangerous, etc. Yes, because your family is probably Americans. Americans are fucking morons when it comes to other countries in the world. They think every country is dangerous. Americans are really bad about this. They are the worst in the Western world. I mean, even Canadians are less bad about than Americans are about this. They think the whole world is a dangerous, evil place, and the only place that works is America. How's that working out for you fucking Americans? Yeah. So just ignore them. As I keep saying, what is my recurring thing? Stop giving a fuck about what your parents fucking think. Stop giving a fuck. You think I give a fuck what my parents think? No. And that was true when I was a kid too. When I was in my 20s, I didn't give a rat fuck what my parents thought. I talked about this on a video. I told my dad to fuck off when I was 28, 29. I told him to fuck off. Most of you don't have the balls to say your dad to fuck off. Most of you guys over the age of 29 can't do that. Man up. It's your life. When is the last time you had sex with a perfect 10? So I can't answer that question literally because my definition of a perfect 10 is going to be very different than your definition of a perfect 10. I wrote an article about this, about how the 1 to 10 scale is bullshit, and it's provable. If you go on any forum of guys or any group of guys or Facebook group and you post a picture of a hot girl and you tell the guys to rank her number from 1 to 10, you're not going to get any consensus on numbers. Some will say she's a 10, some will say she's a 9.2, she's an 8, she's a 7, she's a 6, she's a 7.5. You won't get consensus on that stuff. So instead, I can change the question to, when is the last time I had sex with a woman that most men would consider a 9 or a 10? That's a little better question. And the answer is very, very, very recently. What is the setup with the black background and the blue lights for your videos? How do you do the lighting? I presume only of your face. What kind of lights? Link and provide a link. Do you have a black background? What kind of camera? Blah, 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 blah. So here's what I'll do. I get the question a lot. I will do a video down the road a little bit, and I will go through all the video equipment I use and exactly what I'm doing. I'll do a whole video, and that's a whole video. I'll do a whole video on that, no problem. Matter of fact, I think it's on my video to-do list. Are you doing the cutting and editing of your videos yourself, or did you outsource that to a virtual assistant or someone who works for you? What do you think the answer to that question is? What do you think? Give that a thought. Think about that. You know me. What do you think? You think I'm editing my own fucking videos? Really? You think I have that kind of time? You think that's a good use of my time? No, I have never edited a video in my entire life. You know why? I don't know how. Every video you see has been edited by someone else. I want someone who is good at that to do it because it takes him faster than me, and I need to work on priority tasks in my business that make more money than editing videos. Editing videos is a critical function of my business, but it's not something I should be doing. And technical tasks are the first set of tasks you outsource in a business. If you are editing your own videos or editing your own podcasts or working on your own website problems, unless you're brand new and not making any money yet, you're losing money. That is not what you should be doing. There's an entire country full of people who know how to do this better than you. It's called India. Have them do it, not you. Once you're making money in your business, obviously, if you're brand new, not making any money yet, yeah, you got to do it yourself until you start making money. I don't know if you're able to answer this, but how many virtual employees do you have? And what would be the first one you're recommending hiring for an Alpha 2.0 business? Yes, I could answer that. We're up to about 19, 20 people in my companies. Let's see. None of those are employees. I don't use employees. Alpha 2.0 mandates no employees. None of those are full-time. They go from people who work 10 hours a week to 2 or 3 hours a week. So it depends on what they're doing. The first one I recommend hiring for an Alpha 2.0 business. Usually it is technical tasks. Outsource the technical stuff first. That's usually the first one you hire. Caleb, are we recording? Oh, okay, good. Have you had the opportunity as yet to do an FFM threesome? So for those who don't know, FFM means 2 women and 1 man having a threesome. Or even an SFFM foursome. And if so, what is it like, or is it really not your thing? Yes, I've done many threesomes. I've written articles about this. No, they're not really my thing. The reason for that is I like to totally focus on the woman I'm having sex with at that moment. So even when I have threesomes, what ends up usually happening is I tell one of the women, hey, lay right there and shut up. Here's a vibrator. And then I fuck her friend, and then I finish on her, and then I have sex with her. So I take turns. That I like. I like that. But that's not really a threesome. The problem with threesomes is that, problem for me, is that when I have sex, I go into another world. I turn into a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And so I can't really think while I'm having sex. So during a threesome, you have to think, okay, put your leg here. Okay, put your mouth over here. And I'm going to put here. I don't want to do that during sex. I just want to bang a bitch. So that's me. A foursome. No, I've never had a foursome. Closest thing I've ever done to that was in one country, not here. There was a woman who was an FB, and she showed me pictures of her two friends who were even hotter than her. And so I had her that morning and her two friends later in the evening during the same day. They all played in the bathtub while I took turns. That's not really a foursome. That's the closest thing I've ever done. Let's see. Going on with this question. Plus, your OLTR would be down for participating in that, or is that really not her thing at all? Although she'd definitely get off on passively watching you fuck two of your FBs in an FFM threesome, but not participating. Okay. So Pink Firefly likes to watch. That's her thing. She likes to watch me have sex with hot girls. I know, it's a really hard life. Alpha Male 2.0 is a really hard life, guys. It's terrible. So that's her thing. She really, really enjoys that. Far more than doing a threesome. No, we have never had a threesome, but that day is coming. So she would do a threesome, but it would be under a very particular, very specific set of circumstances with a very particular type of woman. That day is coming. I don't know when that day is going to happen, but that day is coming. But no, that is not her thing. Her thing is watching, which is fine with me. She's like, but they have to be really hot. Oh, darn. What is your view on the recent Trump supporter riot in DC? I just thought I would ask. It's nothing new. It's, as I've talked about before, Trump supporters have become the left. They're now using the tactics of the left. They bitch and scream about Antifa, breaking into buildings and shit, and then they do the same thing. I could go on and on about that, and I already have. I have nothing new to say about this. There are three groups of left-wingers who control the United States narrative. All three of them are left-wing in terms of big government. There are the corporate leftists, people like Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. There are the progressive left, people like Bernie Sanders, Young Turks, a lot of guys on the internet. And then there are the Trump supporters, the former right, who are now left-wingers. They don't mind at all when Trump spends trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. So they're all left. They're just different flavors of left, which is basically what Europe is. America has become an odd, weird, bastardized version of Europe in terms of politics. Europe has always been a bunch of left-wingers arguing about how to be left. That's kind of what America is now. I don't care. In 3 weeks, I'm out of here. I don't give a fuck. I just don't care. Obviously, Pink Firefly still cares. She keeps me updated on all this Trump shit. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Let's see. I'll give you the bottom line, by the way, of what the Trump people are saying. I've already talked about this in prior videos. Yes, there was a lot of fraud in the election. Any left-winger who says there's no fraud is a fucking moron. There was lots of voter fraud because there's always lots of voter fraud. There was a shitload of voter fraud. Yes. Was there enough voter fraud to swing the election? That would be, my understanding is 7 or 8 million votes in 5 different states. No, there's no evidence for that. There's evidence of a lot of fraud, but not millions upon millions upon millions of votes in 5 different states. I love it when these Trump supporters said, but Caleb, what about Bush v. Gore? Bush v. Gore was about 600 votes in 1 state. That's easy. You guys had to prove there were millions of fake votes across 5 different states. And for some reason, all these Republican judges didn't agree with you, including the Republican Supreme Court with people appointed by Donald Trump. So yes, there was massive fraud. Was there enough fraud to actually swing the election by millions and millions and millions of votes? Very unlikely. Not that I care. America's burning either way. America will burn if Trump is president. It will burn with Biden. America's death warrant was written a long time ago, guys. Your country's going down. Either move out of the United States or do the 6 things I recommend if you're going to stay in the United States. Move out of the cities, get your Alpha 2.0 location independent income going, pay off your debt, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I'm interested to understand for your mindset for taking your niche's money, if you could please help me understand. Okay, sure. I think it would make a great video too. But you have mentioned a few times on your videos where you say something like, I want to take as much of my niche's money as possible. Correct, I do. Or something along those lines. Sounds like a good mindset to have, but I don't fully understand. Can you further elaborate on what you mean when you say and the mindset behind it? Yes. My mindset is, and it has always been this way in all of my companies, not just this company. Hang on, I need a drink. This is not vodka, I promise. It's water. That's all I drink. Hang on. Yes, my business mindset, and it served me very well, is that once I have identified a niche, once I know I am helping that niche solve problems that they have, which is certainly true in Alpha 2.0, I want to take as much money from them as I possibly can. The only way I can take this money is by providing them products and services and information that I know will help them. And I get enough feedback from my customer base to know that I'm helping them. So when you give me money, I'm helping you. I know this for a fact. Are there rare exceptions where that doesn't happen? Yes, that's when you get refunds, and that's fine. But as I've talked about, my refund rate on my ebooks is something like 1.3%. So clearly I'm doing a good job at providing information that is helping men. So if that's true, and it is true, I know for a fact it's true, I want to take as much money out of your wallet as is humanly possible so I can help you as much as I can. We both benefit. Matter of fact, you benefit more. And I mean that. If you get my Alpha 2.0 business course, and you do even half the information, you do a 20% of the information of that course, and you will end up making far more money than what you spent on that course. If you buy one of my ebooks and you start having sex with a woman you consider cute when you haven't done that before, how much money is that worth? Way more than $50, whatever I'm charging for those books. You're getting the better deal. So that's why I want to vacuum as much money out of your wallet as I possibly can. I am a capitalist. I'm here to make money in the long term, and the only way I can do that is to have a long-term relationship with you where I'm helping you solve your problems. Okay, sorry to pause the video again there. Hang on. How do you prepare to give a YouTube video talk? You might be surprised. I don't. But here's why I don't. I have 20 years or so of public speaking experience. So I don't need to sit down and figure out what I'm going to say. One of my natural talents is I can get up and just talk about a topic that I know well. You could give me one sentence on any topic that I know of, even peripherally, and I can talk for 15 minutes extemporaneously. That's one of my skill sets. The very first time I gave a speech in a business environment, the very first time in my life, this is back in the 90s, when I was in my 20s, I think, or early 30s, I forget. It was a speech on the Stephen Covey 4-quadrant time management system. I gave this speech at Toastmasters. It was about 7 minutes long. First speech I ever gave. And I sat down, and in Toastmasters, a guy comes up and speaks after you and critiques your speech. And he gets up, and the very first thing he says, this is the first speech I've ever given, very first thing he ever said was, well, obviously, Caleb, you've given this speech many times before. And I went, yeah. So that's just my natural talent. On podcasts, in the SMIC program, which are more audio trainings and podcasts, I do have an outline for those, but I'm charging money for those. But on podcasts, my free podcasts, my YouTube videos, no, you can give me a sentence and I can talk for 20 minutes on it. That's my natural talent. If you don't have that natural talent, here's what you should do. You get a Word document or something like that and just bullet point out your points, at least 3 main points, and then be sub-points under those points. That's perfectly fine. I think that's valuable for most people. Eventually, you'll get to the point where you don't need to do that because I'm there now. It's not because I have YouTube experience, obviously. It's because I have speaking experience. I've been doing this for years. Has your ex-wife tried to hook up with you since your alpha transformation? No, she has not. And I would be horrified if she tried. So no. I have a 94% return rate, but that is once I became Alpha Male 2.0. So no, nor would I want her. To be honest, she is not, she's still single. We've been divorced now for 14 years, 15 years. My understanding is we don't talk, but my understanding from my kids is she was dating a guy a few years ago, and that's about it. So she's still alone. Kind of interesting. So it's probably a good thing we got divorced. By the way, to be clear about that, we don't even talk. She's not someone in my life. I haven't spoken with her even on the phone for 10 years, at least. I mean, I interact with my kids, obviously, but it's not someone who's in my life. So, which is probably a good thing. Are we recording? I'm always nervous about the technology, these long videos. Do you view, this looks like a did you fuck so-and-so question. Or maybe it's not. Hang on, let me read the question here and then I'll address it maybe. So you who wrote this question, so I'll answer, okay, I think you're trying to help somebody. instead of asking a "Did you fuck so and so" question. Obviously, this is about cosmetic surgery. For you who wrote this question, I'm not going to read your question because it reveals a little too much, but I'll do my best to answer it without reading it. Obviously, I've had sex with this person. Clearly, from your question, you must know this person. Maybe you are this person. No, she doesn't talk like that. You must know her. You must be a friend or something. My view on cosmetic surgery. Well, coincidentally, in 2 days, I'm going in for cosmetic surgery. I'm going to have some loose skin removed under here and some loose skin removed on the side of my chest from weight I've lost because I'm old and I have some loose skin and genetics and all that shit. So if you have seen my wife, obviously you know I'm a big fan of cosmetic surgery if it's done correctly and it looks good. I've had sex with this individual person. Clearly, that I find that attractive. And she's on. Now, to your point, and I agree with you, there is a point at which men don't usually do this. It's usually women who do this, where women get too many procedures done. And there is a point at which if they go too far, they start looking like aliens. An example would be like Joan Rivers before she died. She looked like a fucking alien. So yes, if a woman looks like this and she gets some procedures done and looks like this, she usually ends up looking better. Yes, in my opinion, yes. But yes, there's a lot of women who go too far, and when they cross that line, you're kind of fucked. And this individual person that you're talking about is like right there, and she knows I feel that way because I've told her. So, yeah. Now, do I think she'll stop and not go over that line? Probably not. She'll probably continue to go over that line because, as you know, this person makes a decent amount of money based on how she looks. So she is probably linked up. I have to get these procedures done so I can make more money doing what I do. So hopefully not, but maybe. And she knows I feel that way because I've talked about that. Matter of fact, I've got another person in my life who is rapidly approaching this line. She's had a few procedures done, and I have a feeling, and she's younger than this person you're talking about, I have a feeling she's going to cross over to that too. So, yeah, that's my view on it. I think it's good up until a point. I've heard that the rule of thumb for cosmetic procedures on actual procedures, not like getting Botox, that's not a procedure, that's not permanent. Actually getting physical alterations to your face, the limit is 2. I've heard that. Just do 2 and then stop. That sounds good to me. If you have a fucked up nose, get a nose job and then stop. Something like that. Yeah. Sorry. Say hi to her for me. Smart ass. Why did you want children? I don't know. Why did I want children? I don't know. I just can tell you that I wanted them. Probably biological. Some of it, maybe. There might be some societal programming in there. I don't know. I didn't. Now, this was a long time ago. I wanted children. This is 30 years ago. My son's almost 30. So fuck. Although he didn't become my son when he was born. So 25 years ago, I wanted a boy and a girl, and that's exactly what I got. And I really can't answer why. I'd have to really think about that. That's a very good question. This is back in my early to mid 20s. So there you go. How has children affected you? How has having children affected you? It really hasn't affected me very much. Me living with Pink Firefly has affected me more. Me being married to my first wife, that probably affected me more than having kids. Living with a woman will certainly affect you, either negatively in the case of my first marriage or positively in the case of my second marriage. But having kids, I don't think has really affected me. Maybe it has, I'm not aware of it. That'd be a good question for my kids. By the way, I plan on doing videos with my kids. An entire video with my son, an entire video with my daughter, so you guys can see these people. So yeah. This whole year, when you were meeting up with women in 2020, weren't you concerned about getting coronavirus? No. 2% rule, 2% rule, 2% rule, 2% rule. Go read the 2% rule at my blogs. 2% rule. If something is less than 2% chance of occurring, just proceed. What are the odds of you dying from the coronavirus? A fraction less than 2% if you're under the age of, fucking 60. No, I did not give a fuck. I did not change my behavior in that respect in any one iota. When you ask a typical person, do you want to be happy? They might say, well, yes, of course. Then why can't they figure it out? Smart people, courageous people, people with direction, people who crave sex, rich people, etc., etc. Why can't they work that shit out? It is because they are mixing up long-term happiness with short-term happiness. Why do people get married? There's one reason people get married. It makes them happy now. Matter of fact, I've had people say this to me. Caleb, fuck you, man. I'm happy now. Why are you bitching at me that something that might happen 6 years from now? Who cares about 6 years from now? I'm happy now. So these people are mixing up short-term happiness with long-term happiness. That's number one. Number two, long-term happiness is complicated. Short-term happiness is very easy. If you want to be short-term happy, no problem. Go eat a donut. Eat a donut, get a monogamous girlfriend, get married, vote for Democrats, Republicans. That's easy, okay? Long-term happiness, long-term consistent happiness that I talk about is a little more complicated, right? So if you're an alpha male 2.0, you don't just date a girl and make her your girlfriend. It's a little more complicated. You have FBs, MLTRs, OLTR. She has to qualify for OLTR. Takes 6 months. You have the cardinal rules. You know, it's a little more complicated. Now, it's worth it because if you do these things, you'll be happy long-term, forever, or at least until age 79, which is when alpha male 2.0 works. Alpha male 2.0 is from age 18 to age 79. It's worth it, but it's more complicated. And people don't like complicated, especially today when they're getting stupider in terms of civilizational Western collapse. So those are the two answers. That's a very big topic. That's my summary answer. Were you unhappy as a younger guy? How unhappy? As a younger man, no, but I was very touchy as a younger man. I've talked about this before. Like many men in their 20s, when I was in my 20s, I had a big touchy temper, and I would get really mad about all kinds of little things. God damn it! And this is what happens when you're young. Guys in their 20s get really mad about really little stuff. Matter of fact, I'm at the point now, I've talked about this, where I can read a comment on the internet of a guy who's really, really mad, and he's just going off. He's just going crazy about how mad he is. I'm like, that's a guy in his 20s. There you go. That's a guy in his 40s wouldn't be that mad about something that little. So I was like that. I wasn't unhappy. I was just touchy and easily pissed off about stuff. Today, I don't give a fuck. I'm outcome independent. Younger men are very outcome dependent, and that makes you more angry. Similar to people in politics. They're very outcome dependent, so they're always mad all the time. I was unhappy. I went through a very unhappy phase when I was about, 7th grade. So that was what? Age 13? Yeah. I went through a dark phase, age 12 and 13. About 2 years, I was very unhappy. That was just a phase I had to go through. Matter of fact, my daughter went through that phase in the last few years. Not now, but a few years ago, she went through that phase in her, when she was 19, 20, 21, somewhere in there. So sometimes you just go through these unhappy phases when you're young, but that was a long fucking time. I was a kid, not an adult. What are we doing here? Here we go. For men, it's freedom in business life and women life, plus confidence, OI, a life mission, and not letting small things bother you. Do you have any ideas on what it takes an ideal life if you're a woman? The concept of an ideal life for a woman is very different than a man because, as I've talked about before, women cannot be long-term happy. That's not the way they're wired. You could take a woman, a normal woman who's intelligent and normal and not a creepy, weird woman, but a normal woman. You could wave a magic wand, give her literally everything she wants, give her the perfect life, and within a few weeks, at the most, she'll start being unhappy about something. She'll start bitching about something or being frustrated about something. She'll get bored with her perfect husband or bored with her perfect job or bored with her perfect kids or something. She'll find something to be upset about because that's how women are wired. So a woman can't make an ideal life. And what you can do as a woman is you can get to the point where your unhappiness is minimized. Pink Firefly is on that journey. She's almost there. She might even be there where she has minimized, with my help, minimized the amount of time she's frustrated and unhappy. But she's still going to be frustrated and unhappy on a semi-regular basis for the rest of her fucking life because she's a girl. That's how it works. That's why you can't be an alpha female 2.0. You're going to run into unhappiness. I mean, I guess you could, but it would be a very different thing. What's your favorite objection you've gotten from a man who genuinely wanted to have a beta personality? I've gotten so many. My favorite objection. I'm trying to think. I've gotten a few. Hang on. Let me see. There's like 3 or 4 in my head. Okay. The best one, my favorite is probably, hey Caleb. I was talking about monogamy to a guy. Guy was a beta, hardcore beta was defending monogamy and how great it was. Long-term monogamy. He's like, Caleb, you know what your problem is? You haven't learned the joys of masturbation. Betas. Personally, what don't you like about day game? Take too much work. So day game takes work. I like day game. I'm not saying anything wrong with day game. Day game is great. You day game guys are awesome. I love you guys. Takes too much work. Going out there and looking for chicks. That's my big problem. Last time I tried day game, I was actually with somebody. We were fucking around. I was looking around for women who are hot enough, and it took fucking forever. Whereas online dating, my light just went out. Hang on a second. Okay, sorry about that. Change the lighting around a little bit. Matter of fact, let me fix this 1 second. Okay, are we recording? Yeah, I love these raw videos. So I had this light. I have these lights. I have lots of different types of lights. The light I was just using earlier was on a battery, and apparently 1 hour, that's how long I've been going or so, is the limit to that fully charged battery. So this is a plug-in light. The lighting may not be the same. I look okay. So fuck it, we'll proceed. Sorry about that. So anyway, what I was saying was, day game's a lot of work. You gotta go outside, look around, talk to women, blah, blah. It takes hours and hours. Online dating, you just do this. Is this a lot of work? Is this hard work? No, that's easy. I didn't say it's easy. Damn it, she won't respond to me. I mean, is that work? No. So that's what I don't like about day game. Another thing about day game is you have to get dressed and leave your house, which is time consuming. Online dating is very time management friendly, and I am Mr. Time Management Nerd. So that's why I like it. That's why I don't like it. I'll tell you what I like about day game. Here's what I like about it. You see exactly what you're getting. You see the entire thing. Online dating, usually you don't. Now, sometimes you do. As a matter of fact, I think that's getting better with online dating, is that more women are providing more full body pictures than they were 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. I think it's improving a little bit, but it's still not as good as day game as far as seeing the entire package. With online dating, and boy, do I know about this, you go on a first date and you're kind of crossing your fingers and hoping she's going to be exactly what you want because you really haven't seen all of her yet. And when she is, you get excited. And when she isn't, you're like, and you got to make a judgment call. So that's what I like about day game. Hang on a second. This is a question I can't answer. You mentioned in your materials you have plans to blank, 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 and you're asking about that. That is information only for people, excuse me, in the SMIC program, which you're probably a member of, or the Focus program. So I cannot answer that publicly. That is something I will talk. He's asking about the new business I'm working on right now. 6 months from now, I may be talking about that. Maybe. Even then, I probably don't want to. I just don't want to get a bunch of questions about this new company when I haven't done it yet. So, sorry. Ask me if you're in SMIC, by the time you watch this video, ask me in our regular conferences there and I'll tell you. I'll tell you there. I can't tell you here. What is the absolute earliest and latest age would you say it's best for guys to have kids? First of all, most men in the modern era in the Western world today should not have kids because, as I've talked about in prior videos, having kids in the collapsing Western world is only something for very high income men. If you don't make a 6-figure income and you have very low or little or zero debt, you shouldn't even think about having kids. You will not be able to afford it. After hundreds of years, but not hundreds of years, after 100 years of voting for Democrats and Republicans and saying this time it'll be different, we have destroyed our currency. We have made raising children way too expensive for anyone in the middle class. So don't do it unless you make a lot of money. Assuming you make a lot of money, my standard answer is you have accomplished the majority of your financial goals. For most men, that's around age 40. So 40, if you really want to have kids, wait till you accomplish most of your financial goals and wait till you're about 40. That's my advice. Latest age, I would say 70. Some of my mentors, guys like Jim Rogers, waited till his 60s to have kids because he's smart. So you can have kids into your 60s. You'll be fine. But I don't want to be really old when they graduate high school. I've addressed that before. If you follow all the health stuff we talk about, if you do the anti-aging, if you lift weights, if you don't blow your body out with horrible, stupid diet, if you don't drink a lot, you'll be just fine when your son graduates high school. Don't worry about that. I mean, you choose how you age. Watch how I age over the next 10, 20 years. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to look better than I look now. So do you think if I had a kid now, you think I'd be worried about it? No, I'm not going to have a kid now. But if I did, I wouldn't care. I'm almost 50. How's the light looking? I guess it looks fine. I don't give a fuck. When formulating my code, should all the standards be prescriptive? I will never use drugs. Or can some of them also be prescriptive? I will strive to build and maintain a location-independent income. Proscriptive. So I will strive to build and maintain a location-independent income is not part of your code. What happens when you achieve that? You'll strive to maintain it. You could say something like, I will never, here's the way I would state it in your code. I will never have location-dependent income. Bam. That's a good thing for your code. So it could be either one. Good question. Also, what is the minimum number of standards in my codes that would be acceptable? Minimum? I don't have a minimum. It could be one. I mean, I don't have very many. My main one is I can't lie. So I can't say anything I know is false. Now, I can be sarcastic. That doesn't count. I can refuse to answer questions. I'm a fucking wizard at not answering questions, but that's not lying. So that's, my code isn't very large. Are 4 to 5 standards acceptable after thinking about my code for a few days? Yeah, it's perfectly fine. That's fine. The issue is not to put too many. I don't know if there's about a minimum, but there should be a maximum in there somewhere. 4 or 5 is fine. Assuming that those standards cover all the SLAs, which are at a satisfaction level of less than 9 out of 10. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. You're on the right track. 4 or 5 is fine. I wouldn't go past 5. Caleb, why don't you believe in your Savior and Lord, Jesus Christ? It's obvious the life you're living now is because he has blessed you to spread the word of God through Alpha 2.0 by being happy. This is going to be fun. God is proud of you, but why are you sinning? With multiple question marks. Well, the reason I don't believe in Jesus Christ, by the way, let's back this up. I believe in God. I don't believe in the Judeo-Christian God, but I believe in things or a thing beyond our 5 senses and beyond our scientific ability to prove. I am not a hardcore atheist. I lean in the atheist direction heavily, but I am not an atheist. So let's get that straight first. I do not believe in Jesus Christ because, unfortunately for you, if you want to convince me of something, I require 2 things. I require logic and something called the preponderance of verifiable evidence. You cannot provide that. And if you say, well, we have a book called the Bible, if that's all you've got, one book that was written thousands of years ago that has been edited literally hundreds of times by numerous elites over the past several thousand years, and that's all the evidence you have, that's not verifiable evidence. You need a lot more of this stuff. You will notice that hardcore right-wing guys, should I talk about this? Yeah, I'll talk about this, whatever. You asked, you open the door. You'll notice these hardcore right-wing guys like Steven Crowder and guys like Gavin McInnes. They're very confident when they're talking about socialism and free speech and feminists and socialists. You ask them about Jesus, all of a sudden they do this. They cower. They go, oh, I don't want to talk about that. Can we talk about feminists again? Guys have asked, if you've seen this on Joe Rogan podcast, they'll say, do you really believe he fucking raised people from the dead? And I've had that experience too when I talk to hardcore Christians. Do you really think, honestly, he walked on the water? He walked out on the lake to the boat? Do you really think he went up on the mountain with the poor people and waved his magical hand and beamed in loaves of bread and dead fish like Star Trek to feed? You really believe that actually happened? And these Christians, they do one of 2 things. They go, I don't want to talk about that. Can we talk about socialism again? Or they get mad. Hey man, fuck you. That's my belief. So in both cases, you're not losing facts or logic. And those are the 2 things I need for you to convince me to your viewpoint. So whenever you have some logic and a preponderance of verifiable facts, you let me know and maybe I'll change my mind. I'm not betting on it. God is proud of you. Why are you sinning? A sin, in my opinion, based on my own code of ethics, a sin is something that hurts me or hurts someone else. If it does not hurt me and does not hurt someone else, it is not a sin in my book. Not that I have a book. I guess I do, The Unchained Man. So I assume you're talking about things like premarital sex as a sin. To use that as an example, if I am wearing a condom and having 100% consensual sex with a woman who enjoys it, who I'm not married to, which I do all the fucking time, multiple times a week with multiple women, that doesn't harm her, that doesn't harm me. As a matter of fact, women in my life, currently and now, and in my past 13 years of me doing this, the vast, vast, vast majority, 95% plus, will tell you that I was a good influence on their lives, not a bad one. So not only that I'm not hurting people, I'm actually contributing in a positive way to people, and they are contributing in a positive way to me. What do you consider the difference between trying to form a habit and implement a goal to be? They're similar, but they are different. Are there different techniques you try to motivate yourself to achieve compliant success when attempting to form a habit versus working toward a goal? So The difference is a habit is a long-term thing you're going to do, theoretically, the rest of your life. A goal is you do it, then you stop, and you work on the next goal. So there's a difference. So if your habit is, I want to run every morning, that's something you're going to do every morning or 5 times a week for the rest of your life. So working on goal is different. What you could do is establish a habit of working on your goals and setting X amount of time per day to work on your goals, particularly your IW work. So that could be a habit. And the way you do that is you sit down once a week and you block off time in your schedule and you build that habit of applying yourself to IW work, let's say an hour a day or an hour and a half a day or 2 hours a day or what have you, in the afternoons or what have you. And you set that habit. That's why you could combine those two things. Caleb, with moving out of the U.S. very soon, that must disappoint your current FBs. Yes, one in particular is very pissed. You're right about that. Who may only see you for a short time period, but I mean you have to set up new FBs in the new country you're moving to, based on the country's culture and women living there. Was that easy to do, or is that something you've been doing the last few months? So you've already have a few FBs set up in your new country that you have fucked. Plus, how will you have sex with them if you don't? Okay, there's 2 questions. Let me answer the first one. Yes, I have FBs all over the planet, and I have countries where I have multiple FBs per country. And this country I moved to, yes, I have not a lot of FBs, but a few. There's another country, I have an entire harem of FBs. I got a whole pile of them. That's not the country I'm moving to. So in this country, yes, I have set up FBs there. Not very many, but the answer is yes. I wouldn't just move there and then try to figure out how to set up FBs. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So you're moving on with your question. Plus, how will you have sex with them if you don't like fucking where you and your OLTR will live? Like, will you have to rent out an office? That'd be a bedroom set up in it. So that's what I have now. I have an office with a bedroom set up for FBs on the side. Yes, I will do something similar to that in my new location. I have not decided on exactly how I'm going to do that. It's a little different because Pink Firefly will not be with me 100% of the time in that new location. She can go back to the United States whenever she wants, whereas as of right now, I am limited to the number of days I could spend in the U.S. What I'll probably end up doing is getting a studio apartment, an actual real apartment in the new location, but it could be an office like I have now. I really haven't decided. I'm not really concerned about it. It's one or the other, and it's something I'll set up when I get there. Not really concerned. But yeah, I will do something like that. The one concession I made about that in terms of my sex life was I will not bring women over to our home without her permission, but I can have sex with women whenever I want outside of the home, and I do. You tell guys to have 2 women on rotation, but what if one leaves and based on your definition, we then have de facto monogamy? Isn't it better to advocate and sell your audience that having 3 women should be the minimum, not 2? I've addressed that. I have said that for me, my minimum is always 3 women. Always, 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 always. Never in the last 14 years have I had less than 3 women, other than when I was first getting started. So once I got started with this in 2007, 8, I've always had a minimum of 3 women for that exact reason. If one leaves, I don't want to be monogamous. I don't want to scramble to find another one. So yes, that is best. I'm just saying that technically, if you have 2 women, you're okay because you're not monogamous. That means 2 women. Here's the alpha male 2.0 minimum for your sex life. 2 women you've had sex with at least once every 6 weeks who you consider at least cute. And I follow the attractiveness scale of ugly, average, cute, hot. They need to be at least cute. 2, at least once every 6 weeks. If you're there, you're in the club, you're alpha 2.0. If you're not there, you're not there yet. Now, is that a safe thing to do? No. Because if when one of those women leave, you're right, you're going to have to scramble and find someone else. Now, you can do that if you have a large roster, which I do. So if you have a large roster already built up, and it only takes you 2 or 3 texts to bring in that second woman again, then 2 would be okay. I don't even want to worry about that. I'm super paranoid about this, so I have 3, plus a large roster. So that's how I do it. But your point is valid. Hi, Caleb. Hi. I hope you're doing great. I am. Thank you. I would really like to know how to become a worthy partner for my boyfriend. Oh, you're a girl. Cool. 5 years relationship. I am 28 years old and I make $24K before taxes. I live in Mexico. And I never know how to answer when the "what do you bring to the table" question pops. Interesting. Well, you're not going to like my answer, and you're not the first woman who's asked me this. We don't give a fuck how much money you make. I know that's horrible. I know you just fainted. But we don't give a shit about how much money you make. We really don't care. By and large, there are rare exceptions. I don't give a rat fuck what a woman makes, and most alpha males also do not need this and don't even care. We care about how hot you are, We care about how nice you are. So if you want to maintain your boyfriend, it's very, very simple, which again, as a woman, I know you'll hate this answer because women hate simple answers. Everything has to be complicated for girls. But here is the answer. It's very simple. If you want to maintain the man you're with, you need to do two things. Be nice and have sex. That's it. Have sex a lot, even when you're not feeling like it's in the mood, even when you feel like it's not your job. Have sex with him a lot. Keep his balls drained and be nice. Don't be a bitch. Don't give him drama. When you have a bad day, take a deep breath and leave the room. Don't yell at him. It's not his fault. That's it. You do those two things, you will keep a man. He will cheat. Men will cheat. You're in Mexico. He has definitely cheated on you probably already. If he's Hispanic and Mexican, that'll happen. There's nothing you can do about that. Monogamy doesn't work. But he will stay if you do those two things. By the way, if your boyfriend is saying, so what do you bring to the table? He's got some skills. He's probably an alpha male. So good for him. Hi, BD. Hi. These days I see so many guys in their 20s making six figures or driving a Lambo. Okay, this is an example of a guy who's been poisoned by social media. You have been completely poisoned by social media. You are living in a fantasy world that doesn't exist. How many fucking guys in their 20s make six-figure incomes and drive Lamborghinis? How many guys do you know personally? How many guys in the world as a percentage? You're living in a fantasy world. Stop it. This makes me feel like a failure. You're right, because you live in a fucking fantasy world that doesn't exist. I would feel like a failure too if I lived in a fantasy world that didn't exist. As a 25-year-old who only makes $42K a year, oh my God. Instead of motivating me, it makes me feel discouraged. Get off Instagram. I'm always comparing myself to other dudes my age who are more successful. Well, that's good. That's fine to a degree. How do I stop caring and refocus? Get off fucking Instagram and get some logic. How many men in their 20s have six-figure incomes and drive Lamborghinis as a percentage of men in their 20s? I got news for you, men. I got news for you, dude. I can't talk. Guys in their 20s are fucking losers today. Go read the real statistics. Women in their 20s make more money than men in their 20s today. That's how beta men in their 20s are. Men in their 20s are the worst they've ever been in my lifetime, and I'm almost 50. Men in their 20s suck balls today. So you are not only wrong, you are diametrically opposed to the truth. So just get some fucking logic. God damn. And get off Instagram. Jesus Christ. It's the same guy. I'm always worried about my age. I feel immense pressure to make a considerable amount of money before I'm 30. Well, that's good. It stresses me out too much. Well, then get to work. Take action. What are you doing? I have 5 years left. How do I deal with that? Take action. I felt that same pressure. There's a reason I made a six-figure income by the time I was 27, which is statistically very rare for 27-year-olds. I was unusual. Even back in the 90s when I did it, I was still unusual. Now it's even more unusual because I got to work. I used that stress as a motivating factor for me to get to work. Instead of saying, oh no, I got to work. Get your ass to work. Build your Alpha 2.0 location independent business. Find a niche, find a problem, find a product, service, or information that helps alleviate that problem, and then market. Even if you do it wrong, which you will. That's okay. Get to work. He's going on and he's bitching about his crappy apartment. And since I only make $42K a year and I live in a crappy apartment, I do not feel good enough to be dating girls at the moment. Dude, as I've talked about, most of the time I have been dating girls. I lived in a shitty lower middle class house with no furniture. The next door neighbor had like 20 Mexicans living in it. My grass was this tall. I drove an 8-year-old car. It looked like shit, and I did just fine. Just stop with this shit, dude. God damn. He's just complaining more and more about this. I got to move on, dude. You got to get some perspective and get some logic and get some statistics and get to work. I mean, it's just question after question about freaking out about this stuff. Okay, here's a question he's asking that's not insane. What do you think about doing freelance copywriting if English is not my mother tongue? It's great. Would clients trust me? Why would they not trust you? I have a good command of the English language, but it's just that I have an accent. That's fine. As long as you're understandable, it's okay. I work with people in my company who have thick accents. I don't give a shit what your accent is, as long as you can do the work I want you to do. I don't give a fuck. If you're a man, woman, old, young, what nationality, I don't care what it's a race. I don't give a fuck about this stuff. Can you get the work I want done in my business? Great, you're hired. I feel I'm not going to answer that question, dude. You got to just stop being negative. I got to move on. Jesus Christ, you're making me depressed with your fantasy land that doesn't exist. All right, moving on. Caleb, it's totally fine if he says he's a private person and doesn't want to speak on camera. But if your adopted African-American son lives an Alpha 2.0 lifestyle and he wants to keep living in the U.S., he doesn't live in the U.S., can you have him on your YouTube to interview him and not on your audio podcast? Yes. As I said earlier, I'm going to have him on a YouTube video and I'm going to have my daughter on a separate video. So yes. My son, yes, he is black. He is 28 years old. He is a digital nomad, so he doesn't really have a home. He was in Thailand for a long time. I believe he just went to Tokyo, Japan. He's in Japan now. And he's Alpha 2.0. He's location dependent, non-monogamous. He does the whole thing. In terms of him, okay, he's listing a bunch of things he wants my son to talk about. All right, well, I'll keep that handy. In case your son isn't being non-monogamous, is he currently with a serious girlfriend? So my son's history is monogamous. So for most of his adult life, he was a monogamy guy. He would have long-term monogamous girlfriends. I think he's had 2 or 3 multi-year-long girlfriend relationships up until a few years ago when he stopped doing that. Good for him. Now, I didn't tell him to do that. To be clear, I'm an alpha male 2.0 father. I don't tell my kids what to do or how to live. They do whatever they want. My daughter is monogamous, and she's location dependent. So they can do whatever they want. So he did this on his own. So yes. How do you see the Great Reset, COVID-19, changing international travel in the future? What I said earlier, the Great Reset is really the Great Western Reset. So speaking very generally, the Western nations and the big, stupid authoritarian nations are going to be more troublesome. Big, stupid authoritarian nations would be the US, China, India, Russia, all of whom are moving toward authoritarianism. Brazil to a degree or to a lesser degree. They're going to be problematic and it's going to be harder to travel to and from these countries. The smaller countries are actually doing better. So one thing I have talked about, I've mentioned before, is that while the Western world is collapsing, and while the big nations are moving toward authoritarianism, a lot of the smaller countries are actually getting more free. They're actually doing much better. So in terms of the smaller nations, they're actually going to be just fine. But it's the big nations that are going to be problems, yes. So what does that tell you? What do you think that trend line is indicating? Stop fucking around with the big nations. I am moving out of the big nations. In 3 weeks, I'm moving to a very small country, and I can't fucking wait. And I'm moving most of my business operations, it's going to take me a few years, and most of my target audience away from the big countries. I have said before that I want the US, Canada, and Europe, all of Europe, not just Western Europe, all of Europe to only represent a maximum of 40% of my income. For that reason, because I don't want to rely on these big, stupid, collapsing nations. I want to rely on small, maneuverable countries. That's what I'm after. Let's see here. My butt's getting tired in this chair. Is being within an hour radius of the hottest woman better than being closer to half of the hottest women? What? Is being within an hour radius of the hottest women better than being closer to half of the hottest women? I don't understand the question, and your math is confusing me. How often does Pink Firefly watch you have sex with other women? Is it a regular thing or something you do sporadically? It's been pretty sporadic. Last year was complicated because of COVID, and it's not an excuse. The bigger reason is we have very full lives. Pink Firefly and I are 2 of the busiest people I know. I am ridiculously busy all the time, as you might imagine. She is ridiculously busy with her stuff all the time. And so, also, Pink Firefly's a little picky about the women she likes to watch me have sex with. It's not like I can bring in any hot FB. I mean, I guess I could. She would do it. But for her to enjoy it, and I certainly would enjoy it, but for her to enjoy it, she has a little more tight template of the type of woman she wants to see and what is done and certain parameters around how that happens. So it's not like I can just randomly grab any one of my girls and bring them over, and she's a little picky about that. Plus, she also doesn't like them if they're too young. So if it's an 18 or 19-year-old, that would gross her out. She wants them a little older than that because she's 41. So we just did it though. We just did it a week or 2 ago when we were in Dubai with one of my Dubai FBs. Had a great time. Hello, Caleb. Hello. As a businesswoman, another woman, I am thinking of investing in Monaco for both residential and business opportunities. But since you have stated that Europe is collapsing and Monaco is part of Western Europe, will Monaco weather the upcoming collapse a bit better, managing that it considering that it is a very small country and easier to manage. Smaller countries are much better, abso-fucking-lutely, but no, Monaco's in deep shit. Monaco is going to collapse just like the rest of the Western world. Yes, Western Europe, certainly. Yes, Monaco's fucked. I would not invest in Monaco. The reason you want to invest there is because you probably like living there. So what you could do is Five Flags and live in Monaco, but don't invest there. Don't start a business there. Don't do any of that shit, but just live there and get your business externally from Monaco. I don't know Monaco's tax laws. You need to figure that out. But the reason you want to do that is because you like Monaco, not because Monaco is a great investment opportunity, which I don't think it is. But certainly a great place to live. I mean, it's expensive. I hope you have a higher income, but sure. How are we doing on recording here? Okay, we're good. What are the top 3 to 5 female celebrities you find attractive and really hot? And do you think you can get with them? So that's a difficult question for me because Hollywood does not like the type of woman that I like. Hollywood likes women who have super beautiful, perfect 10 faces, which is great. Teeny, tiny, tiny boobs, which is terrible. No hips, which is disgusting. No ass, which is disgusting. And usually, often, not always, very long legs, which is, I guess, is okay. Women who look like Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman. That's the kind of woman that Hollywood likes to push on us. That's the kind of societal program they like to push. There's a great story years ago about Jenny McCarthy. When Jenny McCarthy was in her prime, super fucking hot. In her prime, not now. This is many years ago. And she was talking about how the reason she did Playboy is because when she went to other agencies, other acting agencies in Hollywood and things like that, they called her too fat. They said, "You're too fat." And she's like, "What do you mean I'm fat? I have washboard abs. What do you mean?" What they were saying was, your tits are too big and your ass is too big. Yeah, that's Hollywood. So I don't like Hollywood celebrities. I published an article a while back on the top celebrities I think are attractive, but even then aren't super hot compared to women I personally know, personally have sex with, and other women I've seen like on the internet and things like that. I like the more stripper / Instagram girl look, where big tits. Here's what I like. Teeny tiny little body, ideally short, big giant boobs, teeny tiny little waist, big hips, big ass. That's what daddy likes. How many mainstream Hollywood leading ladies do you know who have that style? None. And if you have that woman in a movie, she's going to be a side character. In terms of Hollywood celebrities, the go-to woman I usually mention is Sofia Vergara, but frankly, she's in her 50s now. She's starting to show her age a little bit, so that's really not the ideal. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I can think about it, but yeah. Do I think I could get with them? So I'm going to break your question out into 2 different pieces. Could you pick a Hollywood A-list celebrity and say, "Caleb, go fuck her"? Could I do that? No, of course not. Could you say to me, "Caleb, you need to go fuck an A-list Hollywood celebrity," any one of them, females, who are A-list celebrities right now? Could I do that? Yes. Yes, I could do that. If I decided to go to LA for 6 months, never would do that. But if I decided to do that, yes. I have the outcome independence, I have the confidence, I have the game, and I have the income, because I'm sure that'll be a factor. I have the SMB stuff together enough where I could do that, yes. If you just said go pick any one of them and have sex with any one of them, yes, I know for a fact I could do that. Am I going to do that? No, I don't want to hang out in LA. But yes, I could. But if you picked, 3 to 5 women and said, "Caleb, you have to fuck one of these 3 to 5 women," probably not. That'd be pretty hard. That's not how game works either. Let's see. Caleb, irrespective of if they're current SMIC subscriber guys or used to be, have you met and or spoke to guys with an open relationship, open marriage, or an open de facto non-legalized marriage where the guy isn't just non-monogamous, but so the woman is as well? Huh? Oh, so the woman is having sex with other men? Yeah, I've spoken to hundreds of men like that. Yeah, that's not unusual. Yeah. Like she has a male fuck buddy, 2 or 3, or she's very hot and has a rotation of a dozen guys. She fucks regularly or intermittently. Jesus Christ, dude. No, women don't do that. Women in OLTRs do not have harems of men. I have met a few women and heard of a few women and fucked a few women or had sex with a few women who were MLTRs, who were not in an OLTR relationship, who had dude harems. A few of them, but even that's pretty rare. No, women in OLTR marriages, OLTR relationships don't want, generally speaking, there are exceptions, don't want a harem of dudes. If they're fucking another guy, it's usually one guy and it's sporadic, usually. in properly managed OLTR relationships. Now, there are guys who have open marriages, not OLTR marriages, but just normal open marriages who do it fucking wrong. And they have wives who like date other guys who have like a boyfriend. Stupid. That does not fucking work. It always blows up in people's faces. So I've seen that too, though, yes. Let's see, going on. Let's see. I assume most people who are like this are into the swinging scene, which I assume you yourself don't like, as your OLTR wife isn't interested in swinging at all. So swinging is different. Swinging is when you as a couple fuck other couples. That's what swinging is. No, I have no interest in that at all. That would not turn me on at all. Pink Firefly has no interest in that at all. So no, I have. Now, that being said though, and I've said this before, I know swingers, married swinger couples who are very happy. They love it. Long-term married couples, been together for 10 years, 20 years plus, who are swingers, and they fucking love it. I don't. Here's the other thing about swinging, okay? Someone's going to get mad at me about this. Guys who are swingers, the women they fuck are never very hot. They're just not. They're like average to ugly. They're just not very hot. That's just my experience. Prior to being Alpha Male 2.0, did you get your blood work done? And if so, what were your testosterone levels? Prior to the one you already posted on your site, I believe you were 507. So the question I'm asking is if you got it checked when you were married and or when you were in your 20s. No, I was a beta male. Wasn't even aware of these things back then. No, I have no idea what my testosterone was in my 20s. I can tell you in my early 20s, I was hardcore lifting weights. So it was probably fantastic back then, but I don't know what it is. I never got a test. I had no idea. No. Do you think the majority of beta males have low testosterone? I don't think I know. And yes, most men in the Western world have low testosterone. We drink out of plastic bottles and shit. So yeah, that's the low T is the norm now. That's why it's so great to be an alpha male 2.0 or 1.0 on testosterone. That's better than being a beta. Do you believe this determines the traits that they accumulate? It is a strong factor. It doesn't determine it. There are many factors in terms of why men are more beta today. There are physical factors. Testosterone is one. There are cultural factors, which is very big. There's two factors that play there. But that is a strong factor, yes. Caleb, I know you regularly talk about starting 2 to 3 location-independent businesses. That'll help a guy attain financial independence, and that's all cool. Okay. What if you aspire to making tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of dollars as you're more ambitious and you want to do something that would be like a startup? So it's a long, Jesus Christ, dude, your question's huge. Have you met no? So basically, I had that question or similar question in the last AMA. Here's the answer. If you want to make hundreds of millions of dollars, that means you're gonna violate Alpha 2.0 models immediately. The Alpha Male 2.0 business model is that you have a business that maintains whatever income you want on 30 hours a week or less. You can work more than 30 hours a week if you choose. I choose, but I don't have to. So you can, but you don't have to. If you want to make hundreds of millions of dollars, you're going to be busting your ass like Elon Musk 15 hours a day for 25 years straight, which means you're not going to be free. You will not be free building that income. You could even argue when you hit that income. Now, if your answer is, I don't care, I'll sacrifice 25 years of freedom to maybe make hundreds of millions of dollars, then great, go ahead and do that. We have no disagreement, but you're not Alpha 2.0, but you don't care. That's fine. If your answer is, oh shit, I don't want to not be free for 25 years, then you're going to have to adopt something like Alpha Male 2.0. How do you move out if you can't find a job that pays enough? It's hard during COVID, but I don't want to make excuses and be a bitch. Well, that's good. Good for you for not being a bitch. How do you move out if you can't find a job that pays enough? Move out with roommates. That's my only answer I can think of off the top of my head. Move out with roommates. I didn't have to do that. When I moved out when I was 18, I moved out when I was 18 years old with no experience, no high school diploma, no college degree, virtually no experience, no people skills, no contacts in a down economy. The early 1990s. We were right in the middle of a recession. It was the outsourcing recession back then. It was bad. And I moved out and I made it work. Now, it was hard. It was very, very hard. I had lots of financial problems. I had to struggle really hard to pay my bills. It sucked, but it was better than living with mommy and daddy. So I'd rather have that suffering and be free than not have that suffering and be a slave to my fucking parents post age 18. So moved to a really shitty, I've said this. I would rather you young guys live in the shittiest part of town, in the shittiest studio apartment with 2 shitty roommates than live at home with mommy and daddy. Because at least you're free. At least you're maneuverable. And once you get your job, get a second job. Get 2. Don't make excuses. Although you're not being a bitch. Good for you. You mentioned your daughter's name is Indy. But what is your son's name? Don't know if you ever mentioned this. So I called my daughter Indy when she was a child under the age of 18. I didn't want to give out her real name when she was a little girl. Today she's 22. Her name is Alyssa. That's her real name. My son's name is Josh. Let's see. If you were being objective, I'm always objective. At least I try. At least I make a hard effort to be objective. Would you say your model, the Alpha Male 2.0 lifestyle, is bar none the absolute best? He's capitalizing best for a man to live. Outside of being super rich for the typical man, in the modern era right now in the 2020s, yes. The Alpha Male 2.0 lifestyle is the best lifestyle for the typical man, achievable by the typical man in the current collapsing Western world today, right now, outside of being super rich. If you're comparing it to guys who make, who have $500 million and live in a castle and have homes and yachts and can do whatever they want, obviously that'd be better, of course. But if you exclude that very rare exception to the rule, yes. I can't think of any other lifestyle outside of that is better in terms of freedom and long-term consistent happiness than the Alpha Male 2.0. Now, here's the response or objection to that. Well, not all men want that. Correct, they're called betas. They don't have to want it. They won't be as happy as me. They will never be as free as me. That's fine. And let me say this again. I've said this 1,000 times. Alpha Male 2.0 only applies to about 10% of men. 90% of men who have access to this content will either dislike it immediately or will like it and nod their heads in agreement and then never do it because they're pussies. It's only for 10% of men. And that's good. I don't think I want to live in a world full of Alpha Male 2.0s. I don't want that competition. But I would like 10% of men out there to be Alpha Male 2.0s. Fuck yeah, it's part of my mission. Let's see. Caleb, when you're fucking an older or younger woman, how often do you vary between using wild and rough sex and slow, passionate sex? Like how you know which sexual style to utilize, or do you utilize both? Or is it about having excellent sexual intelligence and being able to read a girl? I fuck women the way I like to fuck, period. I don't modify my approach. I don't care how old she is. I don't give a fuck. I have sex with women the way I want to have sex. And you should too. Fuck women the way you like to have sex. If they hate it, they will leave you and go date someone else who is more sexually compatible with them. And the women who like the way you have sex will stick with you and go, this guy's fucking great. So I don't modify my approach at all. Now, here's the one exception. And this is kind of funny. The one exception is I am very intense during sex. And I can scare people. I can scare women. It's happened. So when I have sex with a woman the first time, I have to kind of back off a little bit, and I have to kind of focus on not being too much of a Tyrannosaurus and scaring the fuck out of her. So the first time, second time, I'm a little easier than subsequent times when I really go fucking crazy. So I do that because I don't want to scare chicks. Matter of fact, and this is really interesting, Pink Firefly, and she didn't tell me this till 2-3 years into our relationships. I didn't know this for years. The very first time I had sex with Pink Firefly, after we were done and she went back home, she strongly considered never seeing me again. And she was like, I like this guy. He's great. But oh my God, during sex, I've never seen that before. That's just way too much. And she strongly considered whether or not to see me again because of the way I had sex with her the first time. Apparently, I did not back things off the first time we had sex. She's really hot, so maybe I got excited. Fortunately, she got over that and she kept seeing me and now she's good with it. But anyway, but other than that, no. I have sex the way I want to have sex. And if a woman really doesn't... Now, I also make sure I make women come. That's a key component of the cardinal rules. You have to make women orgasm every time you have sex in order to keep them around. Make sure your retention is long and keep retention high and keeping your return rates high. Very, very important. So I do take the time to do that. But outside of that, I do what I want. And if she doesn't like it, she can leave and go date someone else. Go date a beta who has sex like this. Oh, baby. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're so pretty. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's great. You once said it's possible to get to an Alpha Male 2.0 lifestyle if one is starting from scratch in 1 year. And to achieve that, it will require busting your ass. Yeah, that sounds like something I would have said. That's about right. You can do it in a year, but you have to work really hard, though, yes. What does busting your ass mean to you since we are all different? Well, if you want to get to Alpha Male 2.0 in 1 year, and you're starting from zero in both respects, financially and with women, you're starting from zero, that means you're going to be working on your Alpha 2.0 business and your woman life 10, 12, 13 hours a day combined, 6, 7 days a week for an entire year. And you can work on nothing else. No more hanging out with friends. No more going to the gym for 3 hours a day or 2 hours a day. You can exercise a little bit in the morning. That's about it. No more playing video games. No more watching Netflix. No, none of that shit. You're going to be working on building your business and building your woman life. And that's all you're going to be doing for about a year. I hope you don't have any kids. You probably don't. So that's what that means. Are most men going to do that? No. That's why I say 3 to 5 years for most men. Because most men are not going to blow their brains out for 12 months to get all that shit done. Although a few have. There have been a few guys in my audience who have pulled this shit off in a year or less. It's happened, but it's not typical. Results may not be typical, as they say in the legal aspects of this stuff. Caleb, I'll be going to art school to become an actor. Uh-oh. Nothing wrong with being an actor, but I'll explain my uh-oh in a minute. I know you say school is not the place to go. That's correct. But I really feel like acting is a dream passion in my life. Okay. No, that's all right. That's valid. My question is, can't I start an Alpha 2.0 business while going to college and becoming an actor? Certainly you could do that. You could do that. That'd be fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's exactly what I would do if I were to be an actor. Side note, when I was in high school, I had 2 different high school teachers recommend me to be an actor. They said, Caleb, with your projecting voice and your facial expressions and your movements and your confidence and you need to be an actor. And I said, actors don't make any fucking money, so no thanks. But that happened in high school, yes. Also, why do you think college is bad? Oh, dude, let me count the ways. Number 1, it takes what is called prime time of your life, that time between 18 and about 25 in a man's life where he has no children, he does not have a wife, he doesn't have a lot of debt yet, and he does not live at home with his parents. That is a very short period in a man's life. It takes that period of life and destroys it. It takes it and just sucks it into a black hole because you're busy at college all day and doing fucking homework all day. Number 1. Number 2, you will have to deprogram yourself from all the bullshit you learn in college because what you learn in college is not accurate to the real world. At least not anymore. I just saw Jim Rogers talk about this. He said, please don't get an MBA. If you get an MBA, it will take you 20 years to deprogram yourself, to take that shit out of your head, to actually implement things that work in the real world. There's a reason that I went from 0 to a 6-figure income by the time I was 27, and none of my friends who I had at the time went to high school and then went to college were anywhere near that when they were 27. And none of them even got anywhere near that far ever, even to this day, and except for 1 or 2. And I'm in my 50s. No, I'm not in my 50s. I'm almost 50. So there's a reason for that, because I wasn't programmed with a bunch of negative shit. Number 3, if you're an American, you're going to go into massive debt for no fucking reason. You're going to go into debt for a fucking degree that is virtually worthless. Number 4, there's too many people who have college degrees, which means you're going to go into competition against people who have degrees, which means your degree is now worth less. Going to college was a fantastic idea in the 1960s. It was a fantastic idea to go to college in the 60s. If I was a father and I had a son in the 60s, I would say, man, go to fucking college. Not today. Don't do it. It's a terrible idea. Time for water. I love water so much. I really do. I like water. Most people hate water. I like it. Andrew Henderson, that is Andrew Henderson of Nomad Capitalist, has been selling me on Malaysia for quite some time, since he basically said in his YouTube videos that Malaysia offers all the benefits of America, but without all the negative traits. I generally agree. Yeah. He has made it his primary residence. That's correct. He lives there. It is his primary residence. That is a part of his 5 flags plan, and it's stated he doesn't exactly do 5 flags. Not exactly, but close enough. And stated that Malaysia offers low taxes and buying services and amenities for a fraction of the cost you would pay in America. Generally speaking, yes, there are exceptions. According to him, Malaysia is a rising nation. That is absolutely true. Every nation, with the possible exception of the Philippines, in Southeast Asia is on the rise. Yes. And definitely Malaysia is a rising nation. It's not rising as fast as places like Vietnam, or Cambodia, but it's certainly rising. Absolutely true. Based on this, do you agree or disagree with him on Malaysia becoming a rising nation? Yes, I agree 100%. It is a rising nation. That's not even in question. Yes, it is. And do you think it is worth investing in terms of residency and business opportunities? Well, those are two different things. Residency is up to you. Yeah, it's a good place to live. And business opportunities, yes, very much so. Side note, Andrew is a friend of mine, and he tried very hard to get me to move to Malaysia. And I said, no, I'm not moving to Malaysia because it's too fucking humid. I love Malaysia. I love Singapore. But goddamn, that fucking humidity, man. It's humidity plus heat. Heat I can handle. I don't mind heat. Heat's fine. Heat plus humidity, fuck no. And I'm like, dude, it's hot. He's like, well, yeah, it's hot here. I'm like, yeah, fuck that. He's like, well, yeah, it's hot. So what? Dude, I don't like heat. No. You know what's really funny is Andrew's wife is Russian. She's from Russia. So she went from Russia to Malaysia. God damn. Pretty hilarious. Caleb, you stated in an article that all the culture, art, and technology will be in Southeast Asia. Incorrect. I have never said that. I said that Southeast Asia is the only region, not only country, but only region in the world that will experience hard, high growth rates for the next 20 to 30 years. The rest of the world is either going to stagnate or collapse. That's what I said. There will be countries outside of Southeast Asia that will be on the rise. But in terms of a region, that's what I said, Southeast Asia. It has nothing to do with art, culture, technology. No, I never said that, ever. Where do you specifically see the next Hollywood within Southeast Asia? I never said that. That is just incorrect. There's no Hollywood in Southeast Asia, and there won't be. Exporting movies to other countries is the last thing America does well, by the way. It's the only thing America does. We export our entertainment. It's the only thing we export. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Let's see. What other leverage skills rival the high ROI of effective time management? Daily physical energy. Maximizing your daily physical energy. I mentioned that early on in this AMA. Making sure you do everything possible physically and mentally to have a lot of physical energy throughout the day, all fucking day long, without getting tired or worn out. That is another leverage skill. That improves every area of your life. Not just woman life and financial life, but like your family life, your social life, even your fucking spiritual life. All these things are all improved. Certainly your health, all improved by that. So if you master your daily physical energy and your time management, you're Superman. You're going to kick ass. Which app or otherwise do you use to track your daily time utilization? That changes from time to time. Right now I'm using an app called Toggl, Toggl. I believe it's available for, I use an Android. I believe it's available for iPhone as well. I use that, and then I also plug those results into a spreadsheet because I run separate reporting from that app. But that's the app I currently use. It's a good app. Caleb, in your article entitled, Moving Out of the Country, How Trump's Muslim Ban Changes Things, you said you had no problem with Trump's ban on travelers from 7 Muslim countries into the U.S. That's not what I said. That is not what I said. Aside from the fact that it won't matter in the long term for the future of the U.S. or the West, or for people like us who are interested in living abroad and follow 5 flags. So you're misunderstanding what I said. What I think I said was, it's not going to make a difference. It's not going to help or hurt the United States. The United States is fucked whether or not they ban Muslim people. I had a huge problem with it because that was one of the things that convinced me to move my timetable for moving out of the country from 2025 to 2021. Trump's stupid Muslim ban, where he signed a piece of paper and immediately snarled every fucking airport in the United States because he's a fucking moron. And so he had to go, oh, wait, okay, not you guys and not you guys. They had to immediately backpedal. It was embarrassing. It looked like it was a mess what Trump did, or Trump's people did. And same thing with Obama, with Obamacare. He passes Obamacare, and McDonald's comes to him and says, we're going to go out of business because of your fucking Obamacare. And he goes, I'm a moron. I didn't think about that. Okay, you're exempted, McDonald's, which is totally unconstitutional. But anyway, don't get me started about politics. I'm trying to get to your question here. Just out of curiosity, are you implying that the U.S., Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Europe will inevitably transform into Islamic nations? No. Europe, parts of Europe will, yes. But Canada, no. U.S., no. Australia, no. New Zealand, no. No, they will not. Europe, yes. Europe's going to have an increasingly big Islamic problem, which Europe wants. There's a reason I call it suicidal Europe. Europe wants to destroy itself. America is just collapsing and insane. Europe is suicidal. Europe is taking a small knife and just going, and it's been doing that for years. So Merkel was reelected. There you go. And that's all I got to say, And then when I said that, people from Germany said, well, yeah, that's right. She's very popular. They don't even get the irony. So yeah, Europe's fucked. Now, Canada and US are going to collapse, but not for Islamic reasons. Australia and New Zealand are going to stagnate, but none of those countries will be Islamic. That's a European problem. How do you stop being nostalgic and reminiscing the past and missing the past? So being nostalgic and reminiscing about the past is fine. Missing the past is a problem. And here's how you do it. Your future can be better than your past. So here's an example. I'll give you an example from my life. When I was a young man in my 20s, I used to miss high school. Not because I liked high school. I fucking hated high school. I missed all the girls in high school. So when I went in the corporate world, all the girls go away. And like, oh, where are all the girls? Because in high school is a girl fest. So is college. But I didn't go to college. So I'm like, oh no, I can never get with hot young girls anymore. Boy, was I wrong. I mean, do you have any idea how many hot 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds I've had sex with in the past 13, 14 years? It's kind of ridiculous. So I achieved orders of magnitude better in my woman life past high school than what I did in high school. So for me to reminisce about high school and miss high school wouldn't make any sense, right? So you could achieve a better life in the future than you ever had in the past. In terms of money, in terms of lifestyle, in terms of women. You can. And frankly, we're lucky as men because the older we get, the better we get. Men get better as we get older up until a certain point. There's a certain point where we don't get old, where it's not better anymore. Maybe somewhere around 60. I don't know what that number is. Late 50s, early 60s, mid 60s. I don't know. But at some point, you reach a point of diminishing returns. But up until that point, we get better as we get older. I am far superior as a man in my 40s than I ever was in my 20s or 30s or teens. Not even fucking close. I mean, not even close. 40s is fucking great. My 50s are going to be fucking amazing. I can't even comprehend how good my 50s are going to be. Because I'm even better in my 50s. So that's how you do it. Caleb, when you're fucking a woman and are fucking your OLTR as well, you're so vulgar. Are you pretty vocal during sex, and do you use dirty talk very actively to turn on a woman sexually, physically, and mentally? Plus, do you make loud noises? Are you fucking kidding? That women greatly enjoy. Or do you not like talking a lot as you just get your dick out and get down to business? Or does it really depend on the individual woman? As some women, you liked more foreplay for about 6 minutes. Okay. Do I use dirty talk? So let me go back to what I said earlier. I fuck the way I like to fuck. Do I say things during sex? Oh yeah, I say a lot of dirty shit. But it's stuff that I like to say, not stuff I give a shit what they like. I don't care what she likes. And if she doesn't like what I say, she can go fuck someone else. You see how this works? So I say all kinds of fucking shit, including to Pink Firefly. Oh yeah. Now what I say to Pink Firefly is different. There's a different dynamic there because I'm in love with her. She's my wife. She's my soulmate. She's not my soulmate. No such thing. But you know what I'm saying. So the nature of what I say is a little different between OLTR and my FBs, but I say all kinds of shit. Do I make loud noises? I sound like a retarded dying T-Rex when I have sex. Are you fucking kidding me? I am loud as fuck. Oh my God. I mean, I scare chicks. Now, some women like it, but I sound like a tiger. I mean, fuck yeah. But again, I make noises I want to make. I don't make noises because I go, oh, women will like it if I make noises. That's beta. I don't give a fuck what women want. I fuck the way I want, and if they don't like it, they can fuck someone else. And if they like it, and many of them do, they stick around. That's it. What resources do you recommend for one to learn about the subconscious mind and specifically the prudence of reciting affirmations? God, there's so many. I'll give you two to start with. The two books. One book is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter. And the other one is With Winning in Mind by Lanny Basham. Start with those two. Have you recently reasonably approximated your daily energy expenditure and caloric consumption? Oh, yes. That's what this is for. Fitbit. I've been wearing this now for maybe 6 months. And so my objective on this is to burn 3,500 calories per day. Or at least have this report 3,500 calories per day. But Caleb, Fitbits can be up to 28% off on their caloric estimates. Correct. So I figure if I burn 3,500 calories a day, it's 25% or 20% plus or minus, so that's at least 3,000 calories burned. Great. So that's kind of how I do it. So I use this for that. I track this every day. I use this to track calories and track sleep. I don't really give a shit about steps. I think that's stupid. Calories are more important to me than steps. But right over there is my desk treadmill that I walk on as I work for like an hour or two a day. Yeah, plus I work out and all that shit. Yeah. Do you feel that, in spite of the foreseeable Western collapse, that Australia would be a tenable country for an alpha male 2.0 to reside for the remainder of the 21st century? Yes. Be very careful about their tax laws. There's a reason I didn't live there. I didn't move there. And I looked carefully at doing that. The tax laws are pretty shitty. Outside of that, if you can mitigate that somehow, certainly if you make less money than I do and you don't want to make a lot of money like I do and you just want to stick with a $75,000 a year minimum or whatever, sure, Australia is a perfectly fine place to live. Yes. Let's see. One of my brothers is there now, I believe. Actually, he just got back from there. My daughter has expressed interest in moving there or New Zealand. So yeah, you bet. Perfectly fine. Australia probably isn't going to collapse. It's just going to stagnate, which is also bad, but it's less bad than collapsing, I guess. Given that betazation renders monogamy unsustainable. No, betazation doesn't render monogamy unsustainable. Biology does. We're not wired to do that. Human beings are not monogamous creatures. We are pair bonding creatures, but we are not sexually monogamous creatures. Those are two different things. And society, particularly right-wingers, mash those two things together. Those are two separate things. I am pair bonded and I'm not monogamous. That's why I'm so fucking happy. Do you find it perplexing that women are unconscious of this potent form of OBW? Oh, women aren't unconscious of this. Women know exactly what's going on. I've talked about this a lot in my articles and books. Women know long-term monogamy doesn't work. They already know. They don't talk about it. They don't admit it. You can get them to admit it. I've done it with several women, but they don't talk about it. But they know. It's men who are fucking stupid. It's men when they get a girlfriend or a wife. They go, oh, thank God I'm done forever. Because men are idiots when it comes to monogamy. Whereas women, when a woman gets married, she knows on her wedding day. She knows. In most cases, there are rare exceptions, but in most cases, she knows in the back of her head, all right, this will be great for a while, and then I'll get bored, or he'll piss me off. So in 10 years, 7 years, 8 years, 20 years, I'll divorce this dumbass and go get a new guy. And you can get women to admit this. I've done studies on this on my blogs. I've talked about the 5 engaged woman experiment that you can run. Ask a woman. Get her a little alcohol in her when she's engaged and get her away from her friends and say, you're really going to be with this guy for the rest of your life? For real? And she'll go, well, you ask a guy that question. Of course, I'm going to be with her the rest of my life because I'm a good Christian man. Blah, 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 blah. You ask a woman that, they're like, well, we'll see what happens. Women know. Don't let women fool you. Women know what's up. That's why so many women, when PUA started coming out, pickup artist stuff, that's why so many women got so angry. Because for the first time, men were revealing women's shit. I remember listening to a audio teleconference that Neil Strauss did, Style, years ago when he was Style. This is back, 15 plus years ago or whatever, or something like that. And he was giving these guys all these pickup artist techniques. And the moderator on the call was a woman. And she would come on every once in a while and she'd say, the women in my office are hearing all this and they're really mad because you're telling all these guys all of our secrets. Exactly. Are high degrees of outcome independence more a rarity in a man than is confidence? I.e., does the former tend to also bring with it the latter, but the latter is less likely to bring with it the former? Correct. So if you're outcome independent, it does help your confidence. But if you are very confident, it does not necessarily help your outcome independence. That is the quintessential alpha male 1.0, the very confident man who is very outcome dependent. The perfect poster child for this, the extreme version of this, is Trump. So Trump is ridiculously off the chart confident, and he is not only low outcome independence, he's probably negative outcome independence. All he thinks about all day is what other people are doing or saying about him. So did his confidence help his outcome independence? No. So no. But yes, if you are very outcome independent, yes, it can definitely help your confidence, because if you don't care about what the other person thinks in any interaction, you're going to be automatically a little more confident. So absolutely. That's why outcome independence is so important. It's so critical to so much of life. Oh, man. Let's see. What is your goal body fat percentage? 18 to 14% generally optimized for a man's endocrinology. I just did a big video on this that probably is going to be up by the time you see this AMA, and if not, it'll be out in a few days, where I talk about my entire objectives for this year. My goal is body fat percentage of 15%, and then eventually after that, long term will be 10% if I can maintain it year round, which I probably can't because of A, my personality, and B, my age. Maybe I can maintain 10% year round, but I doubt it. But so if I can't do that, I'll back off to 15%. You said 14%. Okay, maybe 14%. That's fine. That's something I think I can sustain. I would be fucking tickled pink if I was 15% body fat. I have been 50% body fat since I was in high school. That'd be fucking great. I'd be very happy with that. And I look pretty good. I'd actually look pretty good. I have a good structure for that. Both on my face and my body. If I was 50% body fat, would be great. 6 months. 6 months. Check my weight in 6 months from now. Check it. Because I'm going to be updating you guys on that stuff. Hey, what's your options? I think you mean what's your opinions? What's your opinions and thoughts on the phrase, she's not yours, it's just your turn? Lots of Red Pill content makers say she'll eventually leave you for a higher value man. How does an alpha male 2.0 handle this? Okay, so let's unpack there. She's not yours, it's just your turn. Correct. That is accurate. That's how women operate. That is how women are biologically wired to operate. It doesn't mean women are evil or cunts or bitches. That is how they are biologically wired. Women are biologically wired to get bored with long-term sexual male partners. That's just how it works. And if you don't like it, move to Saudi Arabia and become a Muslim, I guess, where they're not allowed to do that. Good luck with that. Lots of red pill makers say she'll eventually leave you for a higher value man. Half right. A woman will eventually leave you for another man. Higher value, not necessarily. Maybe. Maybe not. I have written numerous articles about how women leave alpha males for other alphas. No, for betas. Are betas higher value than alphas? No. The vast majority of the women who leave me and come back, 94% return, when you're alpha 2.0, they always come back. They leave me for lower value men who are more congruent to what the woman wants. It is rare I've had a woman leave me for a higher value man than me. Shit, I can't remember last time it's happened. They leave me for lower value men who do what they're fucking told. That's where the red pill world is a little fucked up. They're so obsessed with hypergamy. Everything's hypergamy. Yes, hypergamy is accurate, but that doesn't mean she's going to leave you for a higher value man. She's going to leave you either for a higher value man or a more compliant man. And often the more compliant man, if you're already an alpha male, will be a lower value man. But the point is she's going to leave. Yes, she's going to leave. So the beta male and the alpha male, the beta male reacts to that by being sad and lonely and frustrated and angry. The alpha male 1.0 reacts to that by being furious. The alpha male 2.0 integrates that into his lifestyle. So if she leaves, great. I'll set up a system where she'll come back. So did I give a shit if she left? No. 94% of all the women who have stopped having sex with me have eventually come back to resume the sexual relationship. 94%. So you think I care if a woman leaves? No, I don't. So all this red pill stuff about women leaving doesn't affect the alpha male 2.0 at all. So that's how the alpha male 2 handles that. It doesn't affect him. They come back. Who cares? How much can you bench press? Not going to answer that question. That's one of those, if I give you an answer, I'm going to have nonstop nitpicker arguments. One thing I will tell you about my bench press is that I am rapidly approaching, not there yet, and it's not a goal I have. I just do this. It's happening regardless of my goals in this area. I am rapidly approaching my 1 rep lifetime record max when I was 18 years old and I was a gym rat and worked out all the fucking time. I'm almost there. I'm not there yet, but I'm almost there. So I will actually be hitting my lifetime world record bench press record when I'm almost 50 years old. Kind of cool. But I'm not going to tell you what that is. You're just going to have to guess. Hey, Caleb. Hey. You mentioned previously in regards to the Western collapse that nations such as Australia and New Zealand will be the sole exceptions. That is, they will not collapse, but rather they will stagnate. Thank you. Someone quoted me correctly. Thank you. That is what I said. Correct. In addition, you also stated that the aforementioned countries implement tax worldwide income, not just on their citizens, but on residents as well. Yes. Is this true? Yes, this is true. That's why I'm not moving to Australia. I was going to move to Sydney, Australia, Sydney area, or Brisbane. I was going to move to Brisbane, Australia. I decided not to because those psycho Australians, their tax laws is such that if you fly into Australia once a year, even just once a year, and they see you're flying into the same city, they can, and they have decided that you are a tax resident, and they will tax your worldwide income for the time you are there. So if you spend a month there, even if it's just a month, most countries do the 180 day thing, 183 days, 6 months, 1 month, 2 months. Now, you don't tax you worldwide for the entire year. They just tax you while you're there. And you won't get double taxed if you're an American because they have tax treaties and things like that. But whatever. Fuck that shit. Fuck that noise. Yes, it's true. Absolutely ridiculously insane. If so, it is so, why are Australia and New Zealand following America's bad example? Why do you think they're following America's bad example? Is it a bad example? It's a bad example for you and me. But for government, it's a great example. The United States, as I've mentioned before, is the largest government in the history of the human race, in the history of humanity. If you add up state, federal, and local governments, the United States government, not federal government, the entire government, spends $8 trillion a year. $8 trillion a year. The Roman Empire wasn't that big, even if you adjust for inflation and per capita. The British Empire wasn't that big. It's the biggest government in the history of mankind. And, as I've talked about before also, the typical American pays anywhere from 51 to 70% of his income in tax supporting this bullshit monstrosity. And most Americans, their viewpoint is the $8 trillion a year that America spends, their government spends, isn't enough. It should get bigger. They're called left-wingers. Then you have Trump supporters who don't care if it gets bigger. Trump added massive amounts, trillions of dollars to the deficit and debt. They didn't give a fuck. So, do you see Americans rioting in the streets saying, we pay too much taxes, lower our taxes, God damn it? No. They just keep paying these fucking taxes. And they go, okay. Now they bitch about it. They complain about it. This is bullshit. But then they pay it. It's a genius move by the elites of the United States. So New Zealand and Australia see this and go, oh my God. These Americans have figured out how, the American government has, the elites in America have figured out how to get their citizens, give them 70% of their fucking income and just hand it over. Well, fuck, we should do the same thing. So it's not a bad example. It's a great example if you're an elite in government. It's beautiful. If you're one of those people, it's bad for you and me. America is the most successful machine for sucking money out of the average citizen's wallet and having the average citizen go, this is bullshit. Here you go. Why do you think I'm leaving? Any particular aspects to game with tens? I know not to expect long-term commitment from tens who are in their 20s. Good for you. But any other frame mindset tips? I find that my case is just not kissing their ass and being relaxed is half the battle done. Correct. So, if you just don't give a shit if you're location dependent, if you're outcome independent, excuse me, sorry, I don't know what happened there. If you're outcome independent, probably like jet lag. If you're outcome independent and it is obvious that her beauty is not affecting you in any way, that's 40% of the battle. What do most guys do with tens? Oh, you're so hot. Oh, you're so beautiful. I know other men probably call you beautiful, but oh, baby. If you don't do any of that, it's 40% of the battle right there. That's really it. It's all the standard stuff with an extra amount of outcome independence. The only time you should neg, so the pickup artists talk about negging, and I say don't neg, but if a woman is a 10 and she knows she's a 10, because there's two types of 10s. There are 10s who know they're 10s, and there are 10s who haven't quite figured it out yet. So if she's a 10 who knows, by the way, the 10s who haven't figured it out yet are easier. A little easier. They're not easy, but they're easier. The 10s who know they're 10s, you can neg a little bit. You can neg because no one's done that before, unless she's very, very savvy and very experienced. And the younger she is, the less likely that is to be true. And that works to your advantage because most 10s tend to be very young girls, right? Right. Okay. Caleb, do you practice doing Kegels? No. All that tantric sex stuff and coming up your spine and semen retention and Kegels, and that is, in my opinion, for men who don't already have amazing sex lives. My sex life on a scale of 1 to 10 is a fucking 11. It is better. Not as good. It is better than my wildest fantasies. Better. It's better. So do I need to do, hey, Caleb, if you do semen retention for 40 days, your sex will be better. I don't care. I'm good. That stuff is for guys whose sex life is a 5 or a 6 and they're trying to get it to an 8. I'm already there, so I have no interest. I'm not saying they don't work. I'm not saying there isn't value in those things. It's just not for me. Caleb, if you're a guy who's very good at sex, why, thank you. Which I'm not, by the way. How do you deal with a woman who's sex mad and wants sex all the time? Deal with a woman? Those are great. What do you mean? I love those women. Those are the best women on earth. What are you talking about? I don't mean like an overweight fat chick. What? I'm not personally in this position. I realize that many guys would consider it a very good problem. Yeah, it's not a problem. It's great that they wish they had, but if you have shit to do, it doesn't seem sustainable for a fuck bunny relationship or even a serious relationship. You are wrong across the board. I have had long-term relationships with women who are like this, and it was wonderful. It's called time management, dude. You don't fuck them every day. You fuck them often when you want to have sex with them, and you put that in your schedule. That's it. And if she's really horny and you're not available, let her fuck someone else. HBM, who my Asian girlfriend before Pink Firefly had a huge sex drive. We had sex all the fucking time. We were together for 5.5, 6 years. It was fine. You're just way off on that, dude. You have mentioned that some guys in the SMIC don't make courses or consult businesses, but just sell stuff in Amazon or something like that. Not just in SMIC, but guys I know in the Alpha 2.0 community, yes. That is not the norm. Because most guys I have found like to do kind of what I'm doing, information stuff or services or consulting, which kind of isn't surprising because that's stuff I do. But no, there's a decent hunk of guys who sell hard products, yes. How does that work? Like they buy light object and then sell them on Amazon. Yeah, just do a Google search for Amazon FBA. You find a company that does drop shipping and you sell it on Amazon. Matter of fact, there's a guy who I know, what's his name? Drawing a blank. If you pay him $20,000, he'll set up your entire company for you, and you'll make the $20,000 back within a few months. He's done it a bunch of times. He's great. He's based out of shit. I'm drawing a blank again. Where is this guy? Fuck. I'll have to. If I remember his name, I'll do a video about him or something. But yes, that's really it. That's it. Pretty basic. I've been researching various. Are we still recording? Yes. I've been researching various personality tests and found on the end of MBTI, in Enneagram, DISC, and various other variations on those three are basically derived from, strange enough, astrological systems and combination of archetypes. Oh, God, dude, here we go. Symbolism of planets, personality aspect. I do not believe in horoscopes. Sorry, that's all horseshit. Sorry. Again, just like with the Jesus guys, you need to give me facts, verifiable facts, lots of them, preponderance of the evidence, and logic. I find your communication style and whole approach to be really authentic. Well, thank you. So I would like to see as a fun experiment where your placements are on the natal chart. Okay. Can you give us your date, time of birth, place of birth, so we can compute your astropsychological profile? Why don't we just jerk off into a Coke can? How about that? I give you the date of my birth, 4/20/72 is my date of birth. That's when I was born. I was born in 4/20. Kind of sad because I don't smoke weed. I never have. But so all my weed smoking friends and women are all jealous. Like, your birthday's 4/20. It's wasted on you. I want your birthday. Time of my birth, noon. Place of birth, I don't think I want to give that to you. That might be a problem with identity theft. So I can't give you that. Sorry about that. The Pacific Northwest area in the United States. I'll give you that region. I know this may be too personal, but it's worth a shot asking. Well, I gave you what I can give you. If you're not comfortable publicly, could you maybe share your intro only through a message? No. Okay. You have mentioned, let's see here. Just double checking the technology here. You have mentioned you have a big enough roster so you don't need to do online dating much anymore. Correct. How often do you add a new woman to your roster nowadays? Virtually never, unless I'm doing something unusual or running some kind of experiment. So what would be some examples? If I go to a new country, I'll do it there. If I want to find a girl for Pink Firefly for me to watch and she's picky about, I might do that. So virtually never. I mean, I'm trying to think. Did I add anyone in 2020? I don't think so. I don't think I had someone. Late 2019 I did. Yeah. Do you use online dating to do it? Yes. I'm Black Dragon, so yes. Online dating or referral game. I'd still do a lot of referral game. A lot of that. So it's online dating or referral game. Almost 60-40 these days. I do a lot of referral game. That certainly happened last year. Referral game, if you guys don't know, is you have sex with friends of women you're already having sex with their help. I do a hell of a lot of that. With younger women, it's great. And often, the girl's friend is hotter than the girl you're with. So the girl you're with might be cute. Maybe she's an 8, and then she knows a 10 or a 9. So yes. Do you add new women once in a while? Oh, once in a while. Got a misspelling here. Once in a while because of some FB vanishing or becoming less attractive over time? If not, why? If that happens, I use my roster. I just bring in a new woman, an existing woman from my roster. I have a very, very large roster in the United States. And I have FBs in many different countries now. So that's usually what I do. And my roster is big enough where I don't need to worry about bringing new women in. Again, unless something unusual is going on, which does happen sometimes. Caleb, you mentioned an article on your site that you get emails all the time regarding men trying monogamy and it not working out for them. Yeah, all the time. Monogamy doesn't work for anybody. Long term. Shit, are you kidding? With rare exceptions. Yeah, of course. How many emails per month would you say you get regarding that? I don't know. I just had one the other day. I don't think there's an average amount. It's not like on an average we get 5 a month or 10 a month. Some months we may not get any, and some months I may get a bunch. My email is intercepted by my staff too, so I really couldn't answer that. But I just the other day I saw one, and let's see, the week before that I saw another one. Yeah, it happens all the time. Monogamy doesn't work, so of course guys complain about it. I hope you don't mean Alpha Male 2.0 is going back to monogamy. I don't think you mean that. I think you mean just guys who are getting burned by monogamy. Well, yeah. Are you kidding? Yeah. Let me get this up a little bit here. Let me make an adjustment with the microphone here. Hang on. Okay. How long does it take for the average user of the SMIC to get results if they are consistent and do the work? If a person puts in the work, what can they expect in general? I don't mean the fastest and uncommon success stories, but a more common results for your clients. If it helps, let's think of hours per week and so. So that's too general a question. Some guys join the SMIC program just for their business, and that's it. Some guys have plenty of money, and they join the SMIC program or do my coaching or whatever just for their woman life, and that's it. So it depends on the area that you're talking about. The majority of guys are not consistent, and that's with any content provider, me or anyone else, Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, it doesn't matter, name the guy. Most people who buy their stuff aren't consistent with their stuff, right? It's just human nature. So most guys aren't consistent, but you said if they are consistent, do the work. They get results within a few weeks, generally speaking, certainly in their women lives, within a few months in their business lives. Noticeable results if they're consistent, with a few months at the most. We had a guy in SMIC who started in SMIC and within, I want to say 4 months, did his first course launch and made $35,000 over a weekend. He was happy as fuck, but he did everything I talked about. He niched. He had a good informational product. It was very, very narrowly niched. It was great. It was just a great success story. So yeah. How many women do you need in your roster to regularly have sex with 3 to 4 women 3 or 4 times per week? So you're not referring to the roster, you're referring to active women. Roster is all the women you've had sex with more than twice in your entire life you can call upon who are currently inactive. You're talking about active women. Rule of thumb for that is add 2. So if you want to have sex with 3 different women a week, that's a lot, but okay, you're going to need about 5 active women because all 3 of those women are not going to be available every week. Women have shit to do, right? Or women leave, or they travel, or they get boyfriends. So the rule of thumb is add 2, generally speaking. What are some great resources for people to learn from to get started with affiliate marketing for online stuff? There's a lot. Pat Flynn has a good affiliate marketing course. So he's at smartpassiveincome.com. I don't know if he's still selling it though. But I would start there. Pat Flynn's a good guy. What is your entire ancestry? You mentioned your mom's Italian. Yes, she's Sicilian. What about your father's? My father is a mutt. He's just purely mixed. I did 23andMe. I am Sicilian. I'm mostly Sicilian. I think, not mostly Sicilian. That is the biggest percentage I've got. I forget the numbers. I think I'm 45% Sicilian, something like that. The rest of it is a mix mostly of, what was it? German and Welsh, I think, are the two biggest ones. German, Welsh, some French. Everything else is a mix. By the way, I am like 99.99% white. I said you're 99.9% white, which is unsurprising. So yeah. Side note, apparently there is some guy on the internet, I'm not going to mention his name, who is going around telling everyone that I am Jewish. No, I'm Sicilian Catholic, but okay. I was raised Catholic. I'm not Catholic. I'm Sicilian. If I had to pick a nationality, I'm mostly Sicilian. If you look at my body, I'm very Sicilian. I have blue eyes, which is not Sicilian. That's probably the European shit in there, or the Northern European stuff, but I'm very Sicilian. As a matter of fact, what's really funny is that on my uncles on my mom's side, my mom has 8 brothers. And so I don't look anything like my dad. I don't look much like my mom, but all of her brothers look all like me. They all look like me. I look like all these guys. Matter of fact, one time when my daughter was little, we were over at our family's house, my mom's side of the family, and there was a picture of one of her uncles in a picture. And she said, my daughter said, Dad, it's you. And she looked just like me. It was one of my mom's brothers. So I look just like my mom's brothers. It's kind of crazy. And they're very Sicilian. I am taking this year to build the skills of options trading. Okay. Would trading options and making an income off of it be considered a good location independent business? It is definitely a location independent business. Yes, it is Alpha Male 2.0 compatible. Absolutely. Is it a good location independent business? I don't know. I don't know enough about options to give you that answer. Options is one of those things where a lot of guys try it and fail, and a few guys try it and make a lot of money. But I guess you could say that about any industry. So I don't know if it's good, but it certainly is location dependent, you bet. Well, that's good. You're going to have to talk to some options people. People who've tried trading options. Caleb, I found your updated online dating manual didn't really cover how a guy do a great job establishing sexual tension in his online messaging. Correct, because when you're doing online messaging is not when you establish sexual tension. You don't want to do that at all. I say don't get sexual. And if you read the book, it sounds like you scanned through it or didn't read all of it. I say very clearly, don't get sexual at all during the online messaging phase. The odds of you succeeding are very low doing that. Sexual tension is for the first date. The first real life, that's where you pour on the sexual tension. Hardcore. And I go through all that stuff and get to sex fast. We follow the 3-phase model, and you follow the fluff talk, then relationship talk. Then if you get to it, sex talk. You do a lot of kino. You do a lot of sexual vibing. You do not kiss her at the end. I mean, I go through all that stuff. So that's for the first date, not for online stuff. There's no sexual tension during the online process, unless you're doing something very different that is not part of my model. So that's why. Let's see. Do you feel there are some racial parallels to Alpha Male 1.0, 2.0, and Beta? Some cultures seem to produce a significant amount, of either of these categories. Yes. Which would you say produces each time? An example is my observations are in the Black, particularly African, as it is very 1.0, same with some Hispanics. What is your take? Correct. Yes. Very accurate. Sure. Black cultures, Hispanic cultures, Russian culture certainly are more congruent to producing more alpha male 1.0s. Absolutely true. The Indian culture, the Japanese culture, cultures like that are much more conducive to producing beta males. Absolutely true. So yes, I don't think it's a racial thing so much as it is a cultural thing. Although I think, at least I feel, because I don't know this for sure, in terms of the Hispanic ethnicity, I think that's also racial to a degree. There's probably some biological aspects of that. But I think most of the stuff is cultural. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm not what's the word? The word escapes me, jet lag. I'm not an expert in this area. But yes, you're absolutely right. Certain races and certain cultures are more conducive to 1.0s versus beta males. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. I've mentioned this before. Sure. Do you think having a brand/social media presence is necessary going forward for business and game/women? Those are two very different things. So let's talk about business first. and I've mentioned this before, if your business is a personality branded business like me, then yes, you need to be on social media and you need to be all over fucking social media in a huge fucking way. Absolutely. If you just sell hard products, maybe you don't. As I mentioned before, if you bought from Amazon 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, even now, do you care who Jeff Bezos is? No. So if you're selling hard products, not really. You can, but you don't need to be. If you're selling a personality branded business, abso-fucking-lutely. Usually that means you're selling services or information. Yes. For women, no. I don't use social media very much in my game, but I'm in a different place in life than most of you, so maybe I'm not a good example. No, you don't need it. Does it help? Of course it helps. Being on Instagram absolutely helps. And I have said, and I think I'm right, that it's going to be almost, not literally a requirement, but almost a requirement to be very good with online dating. Instagram. Instagram is going to be a necessary component for a lot of dating going forward, particularly online dating, but not for all dating. I have mentioned before that I think guys who are really good at social circle game are doing really well right now. See, while everyone else is bitching and complaining, even during COVID, online dating guys are bitching and complaining. Day game guys are bitching and complaining. Night game guys are bitching and complaining. Social guys, social circle guys, I think are doing really well. I think they're very quietly doing very, very well. I think social game is the future. And as I mentioned before, my referral game, which is a form in a way of social circle game, has been fucking fantastic. Better now than it's ever been. So you don't need Instagram for that shit. So it depends what you're doing. Did you ever consider trying to have multiple live-in girls / OLTRs? Holy fuck, are you fucking kidding? No. I'm wondering what downsides you see there. Are you fucking insane? Having multiple wives in your house? Shoot me in the fucking head right now. I have no idea why men fantasize about this. That's not true. I do know why. Those are men who have never lived with a woman. Men who fantasize about having multiple wives, like that fucking Bill Paxton show. Oh, that'd be so great if I had 3 wives. That's a guy who's never lived with a woman. Live with a woman for 3 years. Then come back and tell me you want 2 more wives in your house. Are you fucking crazy? Well, Caleb, what you do is you get separate houses. You're fucking insane. No. So no, have I ever tried that? No. Now, what I have considered, I've never tried this. What I have considered is something very different. I've never tried this. This is just in theory, okay? Is having an OLTR wife like Pink Firefly and then having a live-in FB. She's an FB though. She's not your wife. She's not your girlfriend. She's just your buddy who lives in a room in your house. Who is very separate bathroom, separate room. You don't sleep with her. You sleep with your wife, okay? You don't date her. You date your wife. Cool? But then the FB rotates out because maybe she's young. In 6 months, she'll move out or get a boyfriend or get married. And then you rotate a new one in. I've thought about that. Whether or not I try that, who knows? But I have thought about that. I've considered that. I could make something like that work. But I may hate that. Living with 2 women, that may drive me bonkers. I don't know. So that's the closest I've thought about it. But no, having multiple OLTRs in your fucking house or multiple girlfriends, kill me. And kill you if you try it. Just try it and see how much you like it. Pfft. I recently bought a new house and I'm wondering if you have any tips so that I do not give up too much beta / provider vibes with girls. Oh, easy. Dude, easy. Don't put any furniture in your house. Don't take care of the yard. Don't decorate the house. Make it a little messy. That's what I did. So for years I did this. Women would come over to my house and they look around. There'd be like nothing in the living room except this old shitty couch that I got as a hand-me-down from my parents after my divorce. This old used shitty piece of shit couch. No decorations on the walls. Nothing on the floors. And women would say, I had several women say, did you just move in here? I'm like, no, I've been here for 6 years. What are you talking about? Really helped. So just don't look good. But I don't want to do that, Caleb. Okay, then don't. Just be aware. You got to be careful about provider vibes. Now, it's more about what you do for a living. So if you're a doctor, let's say, and women know you're a doctor, well, no matter what your house looks like, you're going to have some of that stuff. But it'll still help. So there you go. More water time. Hang on. How are we doing on time here? We're good. Jesus Christ. How far are we? We're about 75% in. Cool. Okay. Do you consider learning the language of countries you will be a part of in your 5 flags theory a necessity or valuable endeavor? No. So the beauty of speaking English is that that is the international language of the world. You don't need to learn other languages. It would be helpful, in my case, it would be helpful. I don't need it if I learn Spanish. I'm probably not going to, but I admit that would be helpful. But you don't need to because you've got this. There's an app for this called Google Translate. You download that app and you put it in conversation mode and you say la ba da ba da in your own language and it speaks out the other language almost immediately. There's a slight delay and then she or he speaks the language and it speaks back to you in English. It's fucking awesome. I have closed business deals doing this. I have had sex with women doing this. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. So you really don't need to. It's helpful, but you don't need to. Hang on a second. Is Pink Firefly sending me more texts? Yes, of course. So, no, it's not a necessity. Valuable? No. I used to think it was more valuable until I ran into a bunch of guys, white guys, Western guys who, for example, live in China and have lived in China for like 15 years and never learned Chinese. And they're doing just fine. They're making plenty of money. They're getting laid. It doesn't fucking matter. And I'm not even talking about areas where they speak English, like way out like in Chengdu and stuff, in deep China, and they're doing just fine. They've never learned. As a matter of fact, what's his name? Jack Perkowski, the guy who wrote Managing the Dragon. He is a white Westerner who started a company in China and did very, 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 very well. He actually says that he doesn't want to learn Chinese because if he tries to learn Chinese, when he speaks to people, he says what happens when Chinese people speak to me in English and they're not 100% fluent, they sound terrible. So if I sounded terrible, it would actually hurt my negotiating power. So instead, I want to not learn Chinese and have a really good translator and pay him and have him translate for me. Then I'm the cool white guy from afar and I look more ominous. So interesting. So no, I don't. Caleb, I'm sure it's fine whenever you travel to the UAE, but when you've traveled overseas, to second and third world countries and even ones considered first world ones, what do you and your wife do with carrying your wallet and smartphone to avoid being robbed by fucking pickpockets? Like rather than have your wallet and smartphone in your trouser pockets, do you wallet and smartphone in a small zip bag? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's what I generally do. When I go to places that are a little more dangerous or a little more rough, like parts of Colombia, South America, Central America, not Panama though, places like that. So a few things. One is whenever I travel, I always keep whatever I'm carrying in my front pocket. Never put anything in your back pocket. Never, ever, ever, ever walk around with anything in your back pocket. Front pocket. Number one, don't carry a lot of valuables when you're walking around. If you're walking around in, questionable parts of Colombia, for example, you don't want to be carrying a lot of cash or credit cards. That's fucking dumb. Just don't do that. What I have done, I haven't done this recently, but what I have done is gotten one of those, I don't know what they're called, those internal wallet things. They're about this big and they're flat and they have pockets in them and they have an elastic strap and you put it under your pants, inside your belt. It's like wearing a second belt inside your main belt. So there's no way a pickpocket could grab this stuff. I have done that. Not lately, but I have done that. And you're right. It's not just, third world countries. Fucking Paris. Go to Paris. All kinds of crime there. It's ridiculous. So to be fair and to be honest, I have never had a problem. I have never been physically attacked. I've never been mugged in my entire life. I've traveled all over the planet Earth. Maybe I'm lucky or maybe I'm a big guy. I think a part of it is I'm a big guy. I walk very big and confident. That's a lot of it. I'm also not stupid. All these people you see on YouTube who complain, hey, I went to Colombia and they stole my iPhone. Yeah, the reason is if you read the story, read into what they were doing, they had their brand new fucking expensive iPhones sticking out there with their little, selfie stick. Hey, everybody, I'm in Colombia. You're flashing your expensive shit in areas frequented by tourists, which are the same areas that are frequented by pickpockets. In other words, you are fucking stupid. Don't be stupid. You won't have a problem. I've never had a problem because I've never been stupid. Let's see. What are the 5 most important videos or articles you've made for both dating and business? I don't know. That's a really good question. I would have to really sit there and go through all my stuff, and I couldn't even begin to answer that question. There's a bunch of good ones, but I couldn't tell you what the top 5 was for both these things. I have no idea. Other than yourself, who are the top 5 content creators that you'd recommend for following for business? Who are your top 5 content recommendations for dating? So the problem is my people who I like are guys who are so wealthy, they're really not on the internet. They don't give a fuck. My mentors are guys in their old fuckers in their 70s in most cases who are making like 8-figure incomes. They don't give a shit about the internet. So it's not like you could subscribe to their channel. They usually don't have one. Those are the guys who I follow. I don't really follow. I just read their books and stuff or know them. Guys like Jim Rod. Well, who, Caleb? Well, guys like, like Jim Rogers, Dan Sullivan, guys you've never heard of, guys like that. I wish I could give a better answer. For dating, it depends what kind of dating. So day game, relationship, what are you talking about? Day game, Tom is my favorite. Tom Torero. He's my all-time favorite for day game. Love his stuff. Chris is good. That's Good Looking Loser. He's good. Those are the two off the top of my head. Wish I could give you one. Here's the deal. I run 3 companies. I'm very busy. I don't spend a lot of time reading other people's dating material. I really don't, especially anymore. Early on I did, but not for a long time. I don't have time. Crack the bat. Are you still bullish on China? Yes. Yes. Are you kidding? Yes. China will have lots of very serious problems as it rises to the top of the planet. COVID has really helped China and really hurt the rest of the West. China, as I said earlier in this AMA, always knows exactly what the fuck they're doing, even when they make mistakes, even when they have problems. Oh, we have this horrible virus in Wuhan. Okay, well, close down Wuhan and make sure no one flies out of Wuhan to any other of our Chinese cities like Shanghai, Shenzhen, Guangzhou. Make sure no one leaves Wuhan and flies to any of our other Chinese cities so this doesn't spread in China. But can people from Wuhan go to LA? Sure. Can they fly to London? Sure. So China knows exactly what they're doing. And they will have a lot of problems. America had massive problems going from zero to the runner of the world, the ruler of the world. It went through recessions, depressions, civil wars, assassinations, bank collapses, and China's going to go through all that shit too on its way up, but it'll hit the top. You could almost argue that China's there now. In some respects, you could almost argue that China rules the world now. It gave the world COVID-19. Has any country really fucked with China? But Trump's trade war, no, that's not fucking with China. Has any country gone to war with China, demanded reparations from China? No. They all bow down to China. Yes, China. Yes, China. So yes, I am very bullish on China. And again, people will counter that by saying, but Caleb, they're not growing as fast. I know they're not growing as fast. Instead of growing at double-digit percentage rates, they're growing at 8% instead of 20%. Okay, they're growing at 8%, 7%. America is growing at 1%. Europe is growing at -%. China will win. Yes. Few Chinese stocks are cheap with a dividend. If you would buy SPIME, there's a spelling error in there, SPIME dividend stocks, what sector you prefer, like tech or real estate other. In China, don't invest in real estate. It's the biggest real estate bubble in the history of mankind in China right now. Don't buy any fucking real estate. The best sectors to invest in China would be healthcare and infrastructure, but not real estate. So iron ore, shit like that. Stuff like that. Not actual finished, completed real estate. But healthcare, infrastructure, water, things like that. That would be the best thing to invest in China for the long haul. For the long haul. Not the short term, not even the medium term. The long term, you'll do well in China. Hi, Caleb. Hi. I want to write and self-publish fiction books full of time. I want to write and self-publish fiction books full-time. Oh, gotcha. Instead of doing a typical full-time office job. I am currently unpublished. My job gets in the way of time I could use to finish my books. Assuming I have the expenses covered for 1 to 3 years in an emergency fund to tide me over, is this possible to do, or does this goal need more work to be feasible? Thank you. Best wishes. My standard answer for anything regarding art. Caleb, I want to write fiction. Caleb, I'm a comic book artist. Caleb, I'm a musician. I love playing guitar. Caleb, I'm an artist. I do paintings. Anything artistic is not going to make money. I'm sorry. It's just not. If you're trying to make $75,000 a year or more, location dependent, doing nothing but art, your odds of success are very, very, very low, even if you're good. The only way to be successful in art is to be lucky, and you can't emulate luck. So I'm very sorry. That is never a good idea. You're looking at a guy who loves writing fantasy fiction. That is one of my great joys in life. Notice I'm not focused on writing fantasy novels. Why? Because it doesn't make any fucking money. I would make a few $100, a few $1,000 instead of making, what I make now, which is a lot more than that. So I don't do that. I use it as a hobby, and maybe I'll do it later in life. So if you really want to do that, 2 options. Option 1, don't do it as a business. Do it as a fun hobby when you're taking a break from your Alpha 2.0 business and build a more viable Alpha 2.0 business. Option 1. Option 2, delay it and don't do it at all until you reach a certain income level and then start doing it more often. That's what I've chosen. Option 3, I've told some musicians this, and maybe you can find a way to do this in fiction. Instead of being a musician, build an Alpha 2.0 business in the music industry, like being a music promoter or a music producer or something like that. That's viable. That's okay. But not making money selling your music. You're just not going to make any money doing it. Sorry, it's the way it goes. I know it's awesome. I know you hate to hear that. And I don't like hearing that either. I love writing fantasy fiction. I would love to sit down, go to the beach, and just write fantasy novels all day long. That would be fucking awesome. But that doesn't make any money, so don't do that. I do that. I've written 3 novels. You'll never read them because they suck. But over the years, I've written 3 fantasy novels. You have to write several novels to write a good one. But I do that for fun, for my own entertainment, and for my own practice. I don't do it to make money. Now, at some point, I will publish fantasy fiction. I will do that. Matter of fact, I realized it would take too long to build a novel. So I'm writing short stories. I have several already done. I will probably sell those on Amazon, but I'm not expecting to make any real money. I'll make a few $1,000 and I'll say, yay, I'm just doing it for fun. Caleb, what's your view on women who say they're asexual and even ones who say they have become celibate? Asexual as in not enjoying sex at all and not engaging in sex. Is it like a legit condition in your view, or is it all in their head as women who say they're asexual and haven't been able to enjoy orgasming, or they have something wrong with them psychologically and or physiologically? Okay, those are 2 different things. So as I've talked about in The Unchained Man and my other books, women have dynamic sex lives. Dynamic, this is the scientific term of dynamic. That means they are changing all the time. Women go through times of their lives where they don't want to have sex. So a woman's saying, I am asexual. What she's saying is, right now, in my life right now, I don't want to have sex. I used to love having sex, and down the road in a few months or a few years, I'll start having sex again. But right now, because I'm a girl and my sex life constantly changes, because that's how girls are wired, I don't want to have sex right now. Is that legit? Sure, it's legit. I mean, it's fine. The other thing, too, is that unlike men, women can go without sex and still be okay. Women can go without sex for 2 years and be more or less okay. They may not be happy, but they're okay. Can men go without sex for 2 years? No. No, you'll be a maniac. You'll be jerking off the porn like a madman. So women are better going without sex for longer periods than men are, especially when they're in these modes where I don't want to have sex right now. Now, what you're also talking about are women who cannot come, who cannot orgasm. That's different. There is a percentage of women, I would say somewhere around 15%, who really just can't orgasm. And 90% of the time, it's something up here. It's all mental. It's not their physical pussy. It's something up here. They were raped, or they were raised by hardcore crazy Christians, or something in their past. They have some weird body image issues or whatever. Even if they're beautiful, that happens. The way you handle them is you make them feel really good. I've been with those women. You make them feel really, 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 really good for as long as you can. They're not going to come, and don't try to make them come. You just make them feel really, 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 really good. Try some really good vibrators too. But that may not work either. If they've got a real issue with it, they just won't. They can still feel good. They just won't come, which is fine. I feel sorry for those girls. I really do. And frankly, if I was a girl who had that problem, I would check my ass into therapy immediately. I'd be like sitting down with therapists like, fucking fix me. I want to come. That's what I would do. But whatever. Yo, Caleb. Yo. Your videos are really good. Thank you. I mean, they keep attention compared to all the other stuff. All the other stuff where the presenter is too stiff or boring. I agree with that. A lot of that on YouTube. Any tips on presentation, body language, and articulation? You are certainly good at holding attention. So here's the problem. As I mentioned earlier in this AMA, I'm naturally good at this. I'm a natural at this, at speaking like this. And just like in the dating world, we have guys who are naturals. They're naturally good at getting laid with women. They've always been that way since they were 12 years old. You never want to take advice. I'm doing the European thing. You never want to take woman advice from a natural, because he doesn't really know why he's good at it. He just is. So you don't really want to take advice from me on speaking. I guess I could give it. Maybe you could. But I already do this automatically. I move my hands this way. I speak this way. My facial articulation is all just natural. I just do this naturally. So the big tip I can give you is outcome independence. Stop giving a shit. Stop trying to act cool. Stop trying to act professional. Stop trying to act smart. So many because you're right, man. So many YouTube videos, even videos where the guys I like the guys and the content is good. They're very stiff or they're trying to be cool, man. And they come off looking like dorks because they care. They give a shit about how you are interpreting them. I don't care what you think about me. So I can just relax and just do whatever I want, say whatever I want. It's kind of nice. But yeah, I mean, plus you also need to be congruent. So when you're outcome independent, you're more congruent to your own personality. So you're not going to try to act in a way that you're not. I mean, amazing. I mean, let me think a minute. In other words, don't try to be like me. Don't try to be like anybody else. Imagine if, I'm trying to think of an opposite example to me that you guys would know. Okay, Roosh. Okay, imagine a Roosh, picture a Roosh video right now. Okay, well, the feminists are going to get you, so you need to give your life to God. Okay, that's Roosh. Nothing wrong with Roosh, but that's his delivery style. Imagine if Roosh started acting like me. Hey, man, what the fuck? Imagine if he started doing that. It would look terrible. Andrew Henderson, my buddy Andrew, Nomad Capitalist. Imagine if he started acting like me. It would look weird because that's not who he is. He's too busy articulating his words, which is great. Perfectly fine. Andrew, I love you. So, be yourself and stop giving a fuck. That's the advice I would give. But beyond that, I'm a natural. I really couldn't tell you. How's the weight loss going? I know this is a big goal of yours and curious if you found success. I just made a video when I was in Dubai, an entire video on that, on what I've been doing, what has been working, what has not been working, what I plan on doing in the next 6 months. That video should be up now by the time you see this AMA, and if not, it'll be up in the next few days. So watch that video. Water time, hang on. Hang on. Does Pink Firefly have male platonic friends? If so, how do you handle that? She has no platonic male friends she hangs out with. She has old friends from a long time ago that she might talk to on Facebook occasionally. But no, she has no male platonic friends she hangs out with. And if she did, do you think I would care? I'm outcome independent. I'm Alpha 2.0. I wouldn't give a rat fuck. She can do whatever she wants. I never tell my wife what to do. And she can't tell me what to do. That's what OLTR is all about. So she could have 14 platonic male friends. I would not give a shit. Sorry for that edit there. I had to take a bathroom break and drain the weasel. Stretch my legs. Hang on a second. Where are we here? Look at all your fucking questions. You guys are maniacs. Or I'm the maniac answering these questions for this long. That's all right. It's part of my job. 1 second here. What the fuck happened here? We're recording? Yeah, we are. Okay. What is your take on the whole Brexit situation, seeing as the UK have now left with a deal? Boy, that's a complicated answer. I could do a whole video on that. Maybe I should, frankly. It's just like with Trump in the United States. I just don't fucking care anymore. I don't care about the Western world. The Western world clearly wants to destroy itself. Let it destroy itself and burn. I don't care. I am glad the UK have left the EU. Good for them. It's way too late. The UK is fucked. The UK is going to collapse. It's way too late for that kind of shit. Should have done that a very long time ago. My biggest opinion regarding Brexit, which is a complicated topic, is if you look at the voting map for Brexit, the UK voting map of who voted to stay and who voted to go, it is very obvious who wanted to stay and who wanted to go. The Brits wanted to leave. The Scottish clearly wanted to stay. The Irish clearly wanted to stay. Well, then you know what you need to do in the UK? Exactly what the United States needs to do. The UK needs to break up in about 4 or 5 little countries. 4 or 5 little sovereign countries, and then let them go or stay as they please. That's the fucking answer. Will that happen? No, of course not, because that would be smart, and that would be effective. So it's not going to happen. Shit, I mean, Scotland once threatened to leave, and they changed their mind at the last minute because they're pussies. You should leave. Scotland should have left the UK a long fucking time ago. Just like the United States, as I said many, many years ago, the articles I still wrote are still my blogs from 10 plus years ago. The United States needs to break up in about 10 or 20 little countries. Have a libertarian country, a Trump country, a Republican country, a Democrat country, a progressive country, a socialist country, and let people move to whatever country they want, and then everybody's happy. Will that happen? No, it won't. That's my opinion. That's my summarized opinion. I mean, it's more complicated than that, but, whatever. Which specific countries do you think in Europe will collapse first? There's no way to know that. There's no way to predict that. I have no idea. Certainly the Western countries are going to collapse sooner than the Eastern countries. So Western Europe is much more leveraged for that kind of shit. France is the least bad off of the Western European countries. I mean, Germany is fucked. Germany's fucked. UK's fucked. France is fucked, but may not be fucked as bad as Germany. So I would imagine Germany will go well before France, but I could be wrong. It's just no way to tell for that kind of stuff. That's predicting the future accurately shit, which I can't do and no one can do. Which countries are good, popular, specifically for black guys who want to leave the West? Well, my son is black. He loves Mexico. He loves Thailand. Those are probably his two favorite. And I'll get him on a video one of these days and he can give his opinion. I'm pretty sure of all the countries he's been to. He's been in Spain. He's been in Japan. He travels around. He's a PT, perpetual traveler, so he doesn't really have a home. As far as I know, based on our conversations, including recently, I think his favorite places are Thailand. He loves Thailand. And Mexico. He really likes Mexico. And he's black. He's half black, but he looks black. And he does well in those countries. What country would you like to see that you have never visited? So I don't view the world in terms of countries. I view the world in terms of cities. Because if you have visited Dallas, Texas, let's say you're a foreigner from the United States. You've never been to the United States and you visit Dallas, Texas. Have you visited the United States? No. Let's say you visit New York and you leave. Have you visited the U.S.? No, you visited New York. So same thing. If I went to Beijing, have I visited China? No. So I have a list of I've talked about this, about 130 cities all around the world that I want to visit. I am about 70% through that list. I've got another 30% left over. So there are lots of cities I have left to go. Off the top of my head, I have never been to Korea. I've never been to South Korea in my entire life, which is a tragedy. I need to go there bad. So I'd really like to go to South Korea. That's probably one of the biggest items off the top of my head on that list. There are certainly several countries that I need to visit in 2020 for my 5 flags that I couldn't because of fucking COVID. Not because of COVID, because of stupid governments. COVID isn't the problem, as I said, as I predicted accurately. COVID is not the problem. Governments' overreactions to the disease are the problem. So I was expecting to go to Kiev, Yerevan, Tbilisi. Again, these are cities. So Armenia, Georgia, Ukraine, various places last year that I couldn't. So I'll have to do that this year. Hopefully. We'll see. But, how are you going to handle FBs in various countries if you can't rely on your USA roster once you leave the USA? So the way I'm currently handling it is FBs in different countries. I am working on something that I can't talk about because I haven't done it yet. Again, my policy is I don't discuss it until I've actually done it. I am working on something in my woman life that is brand new, that I've never tried before. It is something that I have seen a few other alpha males do badly, and I am confident I can do it correctly. I'm 80% sure I can make this work. It is a new relationship type. It's not an FB, it's not an MLTR, it's not an OLTR. It's a new type. It's a 4th type. Don't even have a name for this yet. And it only applies to certain types of men. And I think I can pull it off. The OLTR marriage is a result of this. The OLTR marriage is a result of me seeing other men do open or non-monogamous marriages incorrectly. And the OLTR marriage is a way where you can have a non-monogamous marriage and have it done correctly without drama, without problems, without financial risk. So this is something I've seen a handful of men pull off. Not very many, but if they do it wrong, I'm pretty sure I can do it right. And the reason I'm talking about this is, in answer to your question, it will solve that problem. It will solve the problem of me not worrying about FBs all over the world when I travel and being without women and what about this roster in this country and what about that. It'll solve that problem if I can pull this off. And I think I can. It will take me probably 12 to 18 months to make this work, I think. Maybe. And so if it works, you guys will be the first to know and I'll tell you all about it. Well, you won't be the first to know. Guys, the Focus program will be the first to know. Guys, the SMIC program will be the second to know. You guys will be the third to know, but you'll know. But I need to do this first before I talk about it, because maybe it won't work. Maybe it'll blow up in my face. Who knows? Let's see. Why do we have some duplicate questions in here? My staff fucked this up. Let's see. What country would you like? Would you say that you had a good upbringing / childhood? Yes, I did. I had a good, for the most part, yes. I had a good upbringing. I had a good childhood. I had a mom and a dad. A lot of people don't have that today. I had a dad who wasn't a total beta. A lot of men don't have that today. My dad was a mild alpha male 1.0, so he wasn't a total beta. We had no money when I was very young. By the time I was a little older, my dad started getting into the middle class. And after I moved out of my home, by the time I was 30, my dad was a self-made millionaire. So he was successful. Eventually, it took him, 40 years, but he got there, which is great. But that wasn't my childhood. I was already in my 30s and moved out by then. Yeah, I had a good childhood. I did. My parents argued. Monogamy doesn't work. They just got divorced a few years ago. So they would argue about shit. And I was very frustrated that my parents didn't have any money. I was really pissed off about that. Hey, Mom, Dad, why don't we make more money? Strangely, of the 5 children, I was one of 5 children that I was raised with. I have another brother who I wasn't raised with because my mom was my dad's second wife, because monogamy doesn't work. So what was I going to say? Of all my siblings I was raised with, I was the only one who had a problem with the fact we didn't have any money. My sisters and brothers didn't really care. They didn't really give a shit, and it really bothered me. But so that irritated me. I'm an introvert, and my siblings are very active, wild people. And so that pissed me off. That irritated me a little bit, but it was fine. So yes, I had a good childhood. I was lucky. I was put in a Catholic school, which I thought was bullshit. I didn't like that. So I had things I didn't like in my childhood, but I had an overall good upbringing. Yes, I did. Very, very blessed. Very, very lucky. I wish more of you had what I had. The charities that I give to every month are charities that help young boys who don't have that, because I want to make sure that other young boys have that, so they grow up to be functional men. That's one thing Pink Firefly and I have in common, is that we're both really into children, making sure children are raised right. So she's really into volunteer work with kids, and I'm into donating money to kid organizations. Hi, Caleb. You mentioned that most of your business income should be from outside of the Western world. Yes, that is my opinion. 60% in my opinion. But that's my opinion for me. I'm not projecting that on you. As this would mean having blogs, websites, and posts in a foreign language, do you find any issues? You presumably can't read what freelancers have posted. So I mentioned this earlier. You can have foreign companies in English. You can do that. It's okay. You can sell to people in countries that don't speak English or don't predominantly speak in English and use English. You can do that. If you don't want to do that, if you really want to narrow in on that international niche, then certainly, yes, you'll have to have people translate. If you're worried about having freelancers write what you can't read, you hire another freelancer to read it to you and verify what they do. Perfectly fine. So here's my example. These YouTube videos. I have a guy who edits my YouTube videos. I have another guy who edits my podcasts, okay? So I have all these editors, various editors doing various editing. I have another staffer in my company who double checks all the edits to make sure that these guys don't miss anything. Very simple. So just do that. It's fine. Something on the to-do list that has been on the to-do list for a long time that keeps getting pushed down. A project I have is Alpha Male 2.0. I've mentioned this before. Alpha Male 2.0 for the Chinese man. The Chinese man living in either China or a Chinese diaspora like Taiwan or Singapore or Hong Kong. And so I am definitely going to have that in Chinese. And I don't write Chinese. I can't read Chinese. I'm not concerned. What are some of the craziest things you've seen in your life, and what's the story? I.e. street fights, car crashes, accidents, seen or heard shots fired, etc. I really haven't seen that kind of stuff. Just like I said earlier, I've never been physically assaulted or mugged. I've never seen anything like, well, let's go through the list. Street fights. No, I've been in some fights when I was a young man. I was in full contact karate, and I had a few altercations when I was a young man. So not lately. I'm an old man now. But no, have I seen fight? Yeah, as a young man, but not in my adult life, no. Or at least post age 22 or whatever. Car crashes, no. Accidents, no, other than, fender benders and things. Seen or heard shots fired? No, I really don't have any cool stories for you. I wish I did. I know people personally who have seen these things and experienced these things. Yeah, but not me, no. I really haven't done that. My crazy stories are from my sex life. I have stories I could tell you from my sex life that are so wonderful and so extraordinary and so amazing, you wouldn't believe them. Even if you really like me and totally trust me, you'd be like, Caleb, come on. Why are you making that up? No. I have insane shit I could tell you. That's my crazy stuff. You wouldn't believe it. You just wouldn't. Like I said, a lot of stuff I want to brag about, I really can't. Either for legal reasons or other reasons, and or you wouldn't believe them. But that's for my sex life. That's not from like shots fired and shit like that. Caleb, what's your view on women who say that they're an alpha female? Would you say that you don't believe in it, or that's more a case of dominant women in daily life who need to take charge and do? You've said you've always done very well with business-oriented, successful corporate women. Yes, I have. Who I never have had luck with myself, as they've tended to see me as low status. Okay. He's going on and on. Your question is too long, dude. So, alpha females. There's 3 types of women. I've talked about this before. There's dominants, independents, and submissives. The woman who identifies or implies that she's an alpha female is usually a dominant. And yes, that's fine. That's the alpha male 1.0 of a female. What's my view on them? I think they're fine. They're wonderful people to work with. I have women in my company who are alpha females. At least 1, if not 2 women in my company who are almost alpha male 2.0 females, alpha female 2.0. My chief of staff, the Ginger Ninja, she is an alpha female 2.0. She's location dependent. She's a dominant, strong woman. She's non-monogamous. She bangs younger guys. She has a great time. So wonderful. I have friends who are like that. Could I date, and I've said this before, could I date in an ongoing relationship, MLTR, OLTR with a dominant woman? No, I could not do that. It wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work at all. And I've tried. It doesn't work. FBs, yes. Dominant women, alpha females make fantastic FBs. Fantastic FBs. The sex with these women is great. But could I date one? No. I would shoot my head off, and so would they. So, no. But in terms of my social life, work life, they're great. Yeah. Some of my best working relationships, honestly, throughout my entire career, consulting, my marketing companies, this company, everything has been with dominant alpha females. They're just really fun to work with. They're great. They're awesome. Could I marry one? No. BD, can you share the story of how you became an IT consultant and left your corporate job? Go to my blog and search on my history of, let's see, what are they called? I have an entire series of articles where I go into detail about that. My history with business. Go search on that. Plus, I have another article about how I got my first job at age 18. I talk about exactly what I did. So read those. Did you have to learn new IT skills? Yeah, all the time. When you're in IT, you have to learn new skills all the fucking time. So absolutely I did, yes. Hardcore. Matter of fact, the first job I got, that job I talked about when I got at age 18, I had to take a DOS test. This is early 90s, so DOS, if you guys remember DOS. I had to take a DOS test and I failed it. So I'd take it again and I barely passed it. So I had to learn DOS really quick because I was a Commodore 64, Apple II Plus guy, basic, and I had to learn DOS. So I had to pick up on DOS really quick. And then later I had to learn Windows 1.0. I had to learn RAM management, so conventional memory, extended memory, expanded memory. I had to learn all that shit. You guys are my age or older, you understand. You guys who are nerds and my age or older, all that old school, computer stuff. Yeah, I had to learn a lot of stuff. And actually, one of the downsides of IT, if you are an IT provider, not in the IT business, because I'm still in the IT business, but I do marketing. I don't do IT work. But the problem with doing IT work is you have to constantly learn new shit. Yeah, that's one of the downsides. But it pays well. It's fine. How did you find your niche? The same guy. How did you find your niche? I did not niche. So when I started my IT business, I was a young beta male. I didn't have any idea about niching. I had no idea how to do that. That is one of the businesses I started that I didn't niche. And that was a huge mistake on my part. I could have made, oh man, it makes me so angry these days because this is a long time ago now, but it doesn't make me anymore. I used to. I could have made triple what I made. And I made a lot of money. I could have made triple what I made had I niched. God damn, I left so much money on the table by not niching. It was so stupid. Hey, BD. Hey, do you think Tether is inflating Bitcoin's price? and that Bitcoin will crash and burn as a result in the near future. No. Two answers to that. Number one, Tether is not increasing Bitcoin's price. It is a factor. The main reason Bitcoin has gone so crazy lately is because it's assumed a mainstream adoption, which is the first good reason why Bitcoin has skyrocketed. Bitcoin has skyrocketed many times. Made a lot of money on Bitcoin, like a lot. But this is the first time it's been for a good reason, instead of some Russian oligarch is buying a bunch of Bitcoin and then dumping them. So it's achieving mainstream adoption. And so that's the primary reason why it's expanding. By the way, second answer, Tether is horse shit. Tether is bullshit. It is not backed by US dollars or gold. It's not. It's just not. If you're going to say your crypto is backed by the USD, you need to submit to a third-party audit. And if you go, no, then you're full of shit. Tether is full of shit, which I think you're implying in your question. If you think that, you're right. So will Bitcoin crash and burn as a result of that? No. Now, will Bitcoin crash off this current rally? Yes. It's at 40 grand right now. So great. This last trip I took to Dubai cost me about $15,000, all for my Bitcoin profits. It didn't cost me 1 penny of my actual cash flow. I made a shitload of money in Bitcoin in December, and I went, oh, here's a little profit off the top, and pay for my free trip to Dubai. So I stayed in a fancy hotel. We had fancy plane tickets, and that's why it cost so much money. But yes, it's going to collapse again. And when it does, I'm going to buy some more. I'm not going to buy any now. That's stupid. I'm going to buy more. If it goes below 10 grand or even below 15 grand, I'll probably buy some more. Yeah. Not much, because my focus is putting money in my companies. But I'll put some money in Bitcoin, yeah. But it will crash again, yes. Hey, Caleb, as an introvert, how have you been able to leverage this for you and your business, such as selling, speaking, and informing people what you do? Appreciate your work, philosophy, and achievements. Thank you. Have I been able to leverage? I don't think I've leveraged the fact that I'm an introvert. I have capitalized on what introverts do well. I don't think I've really leveraged it. So what is the advantage introverts have over extroverts? Generally speaking, and there are a lot of exceptions to this, generally speaking, an introvert can focus better than an extrovert can. Extroverts are all over the fucking place. They have ADD and they're jumping all over the place. An introvert can sit down and focus. So I'm very good at focusing. Very, very, very good at this. So I've used that. But I haven't really leveraged my extroverted skills to do anything. No, I'm just introverted, excuse me. I'm just an introvert. Yeah. I am what they call a high-functioning introvert. If you met me, you would not know I'm an introvert. By the way, I've said this before, I think. If you are an introvert, that is your objective. Your objective is to get to the point where you can meet new people and they think you're an extrovert. Okay, that's your objective if you're an introvert, because you want both. If you're an extrovert, your objective is to be able to learn how to focus like an introvert. The reason Arnold Schwarzenegger was so successful, Arnold Schwarzenegger arguably is the most successful man in modern history in terms of all the areas he was successful in. He's an extreme extrovert who knows how to focus. Those are pretty rare, because usually extroverts are all over the fucking place. Don't be like that. Water time, hang on. My refrigerator over there is making some strange noises. I think there's a monster in there. Why is this beeping? What the fuck? Let's see. Hang on. We still recording? Yeah, cool. We still hear how men are dropping out of the dating scene. It's not exactly true. But most big dating apps like Tinder have male to female ratios of 70 to 30%, sometimes worse. Exactly. So let me comment on that really quick. A big red pill narrative is that men are bailing out of the dating scenes and men are running away from marriage. Incorrect. If you look at the statistics, men are still getting married in the same exact numbers. They're just waiting longer. It's not like men are not getting married. What's more accurate to say is men in their 20s are not getting married. As soon as they get in their 30s, they get married in the same within the same numbers. They're just waiting a little longer. The average age a man used to marry was 23. Today it's 30. 29 or I think 29 and a half, something like that. 29 or 30. I think it's 30. So yes, if you look at men in their 20s, a lot less of them are married. So you say, oh, young men are running away from marriage. No, they're not. They're saying, wait till I'm 30, sweetheart, and then I'll marry you. So this is bullshit. They're not running away from dating. That's horseshit. Why ratio remains still so bad for us? In a situation, is it worth to use dating sites as a man? You know the answer. Women are nature's sexual choosers. Women don't have to try to get laid, right? Men have to try to get laid. Women don't. Women can just say, someone fucked me, and there's a line of men lined up outside their door, even if she's ugly and even if she's fat. So that's why you have the ratio problem. That is nothing new. That's not unusual. It was like that 10 years ago when I was hardcore online dating. It was like that 10 years before that, 10 years before that, 10 years. It's always been like that, dude. So that's why. Women's problem is bitching about quality of the guys they fuck, not getting laid. So Tinder is about what? Getting laid. So more men are going to be on there than women. That's always been the case. So is it worth it? Of course it's worth it. It was worth it. It's always been worth it because we've always had that problem. Just because there's a 70-30 ratio doesn't mean you can't get laid. I have had sex with, I'm not going to give you the number, a huge amount of women online with those kinds of ratios. You just have to do things correctly and put in the time and effort. If you don't want to put in the time and effort, pay hookers. It's fine. It's fine for certain men. That's a different topic. I know most guys who follow you either don't have good enough or advanced game and or don't yet have their shit together enough to regularly fuck women who most people would agree are in the 9, 9.5, or 10 range. Nevertheless, how does a guy meet these women, especially since a lot of these women in this range don't use online dating, but do use Instagram? You just answered your own question. Instagram. I'm telling you guys, Instagram game, I think, is the future of online dating. I think that's where it's going to be, at least for now, until they invent something new, which they will. But many make their Insta account private to stop being hassled by horny guys. Right. You don't just, you can still friend request someone and not look like a horny guy. He's going on and on. So I don't know what the question that you're asking. How does a guy meet these women? So the 10s that I have met were via online or referral game. I have met a decent number of 10s via referral game, as I've mentioned earlier, kind of a recurring theme for this AMA. Where, matter of fact, she wasn't the first 10 I ever had sex with. I think was she? No. One of the first 10s I ever had sex with was via referral game. I was dating someone who was really hot, and she had a friend who was a fucking 10. I'm like, oh my fucking God. Maybe she just takes really good photos. And I met her in real life. She was a fucking 10. And we had sex. We were having sex. Her and I and this 10 were having sex within 30 minutes of meeting each other. Because it was a referral game. That's stuff you could pull off with referral game. It was a threesome with that girl and her, and then that girl went away and I focused on her, as I mentioned earlier. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is Instagram game. Beef up your Instagram game. No, that doesn't mean you need to drive a fucking Lamborghini. That's not what that means. No, that doesn't mean you have six-pack abs. You think I have six-pack abs? You think I drive a Lamborghini? No. Okay? No. And as I mentioned earlier, social circle game. So a combination or variation of those three things. Social circle game, I think, is much more powerful. You don't hear much about this on the internet, about social circle game. And I think social circle game guys like it that way. I think they don't want people to know how well they're doing. So those three things. Hey, Caleb, I love your material. Big respect. Thank you. I wanted to know how you're going to deal with not being able to see your family and friends so easily or frequently when you move out of the USA. Do you already have a social group where you are moving to? So here's the deal. I'm an introvert. So I don't really have friends outside of my family life, my business life, and my woman life. I really don't have friends that are outside of those areas. So it's really not an issue for me. I don't have an active social life in that respect. I just don't care. Now, my family, I don't really give a fuck about my family with the exception of my 2 children. One of my kids has already moved out of the United States. Good for him. My daughter is still here, and she has expressed interest to be out of the United States, which is great, maybe down the road. When I moved out of the country, I will fly my kids to come see me on a sporadic basis. I already told them they could do that. So I'm cool with my kids. Plus, my kids are grown up. They're adults. It's not that they're little. Some of you guys forget. My kids are old. My kids are in their 20s. My son's almost 30. So it's not like I got to hang out with my kids all the time. They're grown and gone. The only other people I care about really in my family, I don't care about my siblings. I love my siblings. I don't care about them. They can do whatever they want. Are my parents. And my parents are both settled. They're fine. They're elderly. It's not, again, I don't need to hang out with my parents all the time. Now, for Pink Firefly, different story. She's an extrovert. She needs friends. So in terms of having a social group, We have a battle plan for creating a new social group in the new country, as well as in our United States flag, which is going to be Scottsdale, Arizona. So we have a battle plan for creating a social group there. I have a few ideas. Unfortunately, this is not an area I'm good at because I'm a fucking introvert. I don't care. I'm doing this for my wife. So we'll be talking to couples out there, and I'll be plugging her into various social networks and things like that. What's really weird about Pink Firefly is that she is an extrovert, but she's very shy. Yes. So the way that works is she's not going to come up and talk to you in a social setting. She'll be shy and scared. But if you talk to her, she'll talk your fucking ear off for 5 hours and she won't stop because she's an extrovert. I am the opposite. So I think I mentioned this in the last AMA. I am an introvert and I'm not shy at all, right? So I'll talk to anybody, but I don't want to because I'm an introvert. So there you go. What numbers do you track daily, weekly, monthly, per year, like sales, net worth, etc.? I have an entire thing called a scorecard, and my staff puts together the key numbers in my actually in all my businesses. I have 3 scorecards, one for each business. My staff puts the one together for this business, the Alpha 2.0 company, and I track about, 15 different numbers, and I look at it every week. Every Wednesday is when they track that. Maybe I'll do a video on what those numbers are. Those numbers wouldn't apply to you because every scorecard in every business is different. So my scorecard in my marketing company is very different than my scorecard in my Alpha 2.0 business. So there you go. In terms of monthly numbers, I run a P&L every month. Every month I look at that P&L, profit and loss, very, very carefully. And I have an extrapolated version of that P&L where I look at what I call real income versus bookkeeping income. That's a very complicated topic. I could talk about another time. I talk about that in the SMIC program. So in other words, it's a very complicated question, and I gave you a very summarized answer. Traffic sources for your sales. If you get sales from TikTok traffic, new signups, if YouTube or Facebook is your number one traffic stop for other traffic sources. Am I getting a lot of traffic from my TikTok? No, because I don't have a lot of followers on TikTok yet, but I'm building that up. I have to build up all relevant social media platforms. Matter of fact, I'm adding about 5 more social media platforms to my regular social media feed. But Caleb, what if TikTok becomes illegal because of China? Then it does. But until then, I have to focus on that because maybe it won't. Maybe TikTok will be huge or huger. YouTube is a pretty good source. Facebook is a pretty good source. In terms of the best traffic in terms of social media right now, probably YouTube and maybe secondary Facebook, but that's because I've been on those platforms longer. I used to be on Twitter a lot. I just don't fuck with Twitter anymore because it's kind of a cesspool these days. But anyway, I could go on and on about that. But yeah. Plus my blog is a big traffic source, much bigger than any social media. That's always been my main traffic source. Yeah. Who are your mentors? Well, as I mentioned earlier, my mentors tend to be old fuckers in their 70s who are very physically fit, usually, who are very active and very happy and make 7- and 8-figure incomes. None of them or few of them you would know if I gave you their names. You wouldn't know. They're not famous. They don't care about the fucking internet. As I mentioned earlier, when you're at that income level, the internet's not something you give a shit about. I like to brag about what I've accomplished in my internet business and my other companies. And I tell these guys, and say, yeah, whatever, kid. Yeah, that's really cute. They call me kid, even though I'm 50, because they're old. So those are my mentors. Now, historically, I've talked about my mentors historically. In my 20s, it was Brian Tracy. The big ones were Brian Tracy, 20s and 30s. Brian Tracy, Robert Ringer, drawing a blank on his name, Harry Brown, those guys. Some other guys in my business life who you wouldn't know. Yeah. I have coaches right now. Get ready to hire another coach. Hang on, water time. But again, my coaches are guys who you wouldn't know. Or most of you wouldn't know. On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being great, what would you rate yourself and why? I am a perfect 10 in every way. What do you mean? Why are you even asking that question? I don't understand that question. So I'll change your question a little bit. Why don't I rate my happiness? Because that's the most important thing. What is my happiness on a scale from 1 to 10? So my average happiness on the typical day is a 9. You can't have 10 every day because that's not possible. But 10s are relatively common. Days I have that are 10s are, not infrequent. Days I have where my happiness is less than an 8 are rare. It's very unusual for me to have a day that is less than a 7. Matter of fact, I can't remember the last time that has happened. I'm sure it's happened at some point last year. I don't remember. I'm trying to think of a day where my happiness was a 7 or lower. I can't think of one. So my worst days are 8s, which is fucking awesome. 9s are typical. So I live a really, 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 really good life. With the exception of my body fat, my life is amazing on all levels and beyond all of my expectations in all areas of my SLA. Pretty good. That are relevant to me. But I've been at this to be fair, I've been at this for a while. I'm an old man, at least compared to most of you. And I've been doing the right things for a long time. I've been doing Alpha Male 2.0 for, I'm in year 14 now. So that's what you can do too. You spend 14 years in Alpha Male 2.0, man, you're going to be kicking ass. It's a good life, dude. I understand that your Alpha 2.0 minimum income level is $75,000 a year because some study is done on the marginal utility of income. Well, not exactly, but close, yes. I'll let that go, yeah. However, why use pre-tax dollars? At the end of the day, isn't what matters. It's the amount of money you have access to after everyone, including the government, has taken their cut. You're right. You're absolutely right. Correct. The reason I use that is because that's those studies use. The studies don't specify, hey, after taxes, how much money. They specify a before tax figure. So I just copy those studies. But you're right. Pre-tax dollars doesn't mean shit. Yes, and that's why I talk about how the Alpha Male 2.0 lives a low tax lifestyle. How are we doing on the focus here? Are we doing okay? Yeah. So yeah, man, you're right. You're on the right track, but that's why I use it because those studies use pre-tax numbers. Also, cost of living can vary wildly by region or country. Yes, I've addressed that too. What geographical area was the $75,000 per year income level calculated for? The Western world, mostly Europe and the United States. But where in the United States, Caleb? It was across the board. I'm asking because I'd be interested in calculating after-tax income and taking into account my local cost of living. As I've said before, I cannot give you a table of every city on the planet. Some guys seem to want this. I don't think you're asking for this, but maybe you're implying it. Some guys seem to ask me to develop some kind of table for every city on the planet Earth and give them exactly what the income should be for the alpha male. I can't fucking do that. You're just going to have to use some common sense. Now, here's what I've said in the past. If you're going to spend the rest of your life in Chiang Mai or Medellin, and you're never going to have kids, and you have no debt, then obviously you could do well under $75,000 a year. You could do great. If you're going to spend the rest of your life in downtown Tokyo, and you're going to have 4 children, and you're going to have a really cool car and a kick-ass, you're going to need way more than $75,000. So you've got to adjust for these things, right? $75,000 is your baseline. For most guys, following a baseline life, whatever you want to define that as. And I also said that $75,000 is the minimum, not the maximum. A lot of you guys, perhaps most of you guys, are going to want more than $75,000. I would be fucking miserable if I made $75,000 a year. I can't remember when I made $75,000 a year. Decades ago. So fuck, I need a lot more than that. So some of you need more than that. That's great. Some of you need less than that. But again, your lifestyle has to be congruent for that less. I've done YouTube videos about this in the past. Are there downsides? Hang on, more water. My throat is starting to go. Oh, we're getting to the end. Okay, good. Yeah. The sun has gone down. It's nighttime now. It's very cozy up here. I can see the city from a distance. It's nice. See, I'm going to lose this view when I move out of the country. So I have to replace it with an equivalent or better view. And I'm going to. Are there downsides of sleeping with too many girls, in your opinion? By this, I mean certain guys who have slept with over 1,000 women. There are individuals who have done this. Yes, I know. I wonder if you think there are downsides like this. It makes you more apathetic about women or something. Personally, I would be fine with sleeping with hundreds of women in my life, but getting to an extreme number might be a bad idea. I think it's possible, with a good system, can sleep with, this is his writing, a good system can sleep with 50 to 100 women a year, etc. Thanks, Caleb. Okay. Are there downsides of sleeping with a lot of women? The answer is yes, if your eventual objective is monogamy, which most of these guys have. So let me explain that. The vast majority of players, pickup artist type dudes, have in the back of their minds, stupidly because they're morons, someday I'm going to get monogamous. Someday when I'm past age 35, in my late 30s, 40s, 50s, I will settle down in a normal monogamous relationship and have kids or what have you. If that is your objective, then yes, fucking lots of girls is one of the dumbest things you can do. Because one of the reasons monogamy doesn't work for alpha males and players is because, and I've talked about this before, I've written about this in my books, you have established a precedent for fucking lots of women. You have established a precedent for sexual variety. That means if you get monogamous, you will cheat, and you will cheat almost immediately. And I come out of the pickup artist world. A lot of my buddies are pickup artists. I've talked to a lot of guys, a lot of communication, a lot of, information exchange with a lot of pickup artist guys. And this is almost always what happens when fucking pickup artists get monogamous. They get monogamous, not always, but the vast majority, they get monogamous and they cheat almost immediately. And of course, as I've talked about, they get caught and then they have problems. So if your eventual goal is monogamy, you're stupid if you fuck lots of girls. Now, if you're intelligent, okay, if you're an alpha male 2.0 and you're never going to get monogamous, then you can fuck all the women you want. I've had sex with a lot of women, more women than I ever planned on having sex with. I'm not to the levels of a hardcore pickup artist guy, but I've had sex, and plus I've been doing this a long time. I'm 14 years into this. That's a lot of women. Has it damaged me at all? Nope, because I'm not monogamous. I can have sex with other women whenever I want, and I do on a weekly basis. So it doesn't harm my relationship with my wife because I had sex with lots of girls. But it will harm you if you want to be monogamous and lie to some woman and pretend to be monogamous and then get caught and then have drama and then break up and get divorced and lose your kids and blah, 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 which happens to most guys who are players and go monogamous. You see this all the time with celebrities, actors, athletes who just bang all these girls and then they want to grow up. And so they get monogamous and they cheat like mad dogs and get in all kinds of problems and all kinds of trouble. Yeah. So, yes. By the way, you want to sleep with 10 to 50 to 100 women a year. I'm making you aware of something. You're not going to want to do that forever. So you must be a young guy. You must be a guy in your 20s. And that's fine. If that's what you want to do in your 20s or early 30s, that's fine. When you hit 35, you're not going to want to do this anymore. And so what you need to think about, which is what I said earlier, is what are your long-term plans after you're 35 and you've been banging hundreds of women for several years and you're tired of it and you want something more meaningful? What are you going to do then? Now, if your answer is, Caleb, I want to do some kind of OLTR thing, perfect. Proceed. Fuck all the women you want. If your answer is, I want to settle down and get monogamous, or your answer is, I don't know, which is another way of saying I'm going to get monogamous someday. That's what I don't know means. When you ask a guy what he's going to do later in life, that means he's going to follow societal programming and get monogamous. If that's your answer, you've got a big problem. And you need to sit down and look at yourself in the mirror and figure yourself out because you've got a big, big problem down the road. What has been your experience coaching guys on the autism spectrum? And what is one key alpha male 2.0 strategy for success regarding both finances and women uniquely tailored to Aspie guys? Dude, are you fucking kidding me? There is no such magical technique. There's no magic bullet. There's no magical one thing you can do to transform your life into a paradise. That's not how life fucking works, Aspie or not. Regarding autism, I've coached with a lot of guys, both in my Alpha 2.0 company and in my consulting practice. I have coached with, I would say, 2 or 3 men who I might consider Aspie or they would consider Aspie. Here's the general answer. If you want Alpha Male 2.0 to work and you have a condition like that is serious enough where you're truly on the Asperger's spectrum, you need to work with a really good therapist and Alpha Male 2.0 concepts. So me plus a really good therapist. Just me, I won't be able to help you. I can help you a little, but your problem will remain because I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. So you need to find a really good therapist and work in conjunction with that person, plus Alpha 2.0 contexts and techniques and models at the same time. And that's what you need to do. Honestly, by the way, that's what you need to do. Now, I know what you're going to say. I tried that once and it didn't work. The stupidest statement I've ever heard. I wrote an entire article about that. Well, I tried that once and it didn't work. I tried that 2 years ago, or I tried and it didn't work. Yes, I'm sure you're going to tell me I tried seeing a therapist and he was stupid, or she was a bitch, or they didn't understand me. I don't give a fuck. It's called rule of 3. You try it again, and you might have to fire him. Then you try another guy. You might have to fire him. The third guy will probably work, or the second guy will probably work. Don't make fucking excuses about this. I know counseling's not fun. I understand. You got to fucking do it. I went to marriage counseling. I mean, I have a marriage counselor with Pink Firefly by choice because I want to maintain our good marriage. So sometimes I don't want to do it. Gotta do it. Let's see. Hang on a second. Let's check a few things here. Yeah, okay. Have any of the OLTRs you've been with demanded monogamy either explicitly or implicitly by getting jealous and throwing drama at you after you've had the talk, letting them know you've never been monogamous and after they've moved in? I've only had one OLTR. As I've talked about in my articles, you never want multiple OLTRs in your past. Multiple MLTRs is great. You don't want multiple OLTRs. If you've had 5 OLTRs in your past, that means you're a maniac moron. You don't know what you're doing. You shouldn't have a lot of OLTRs in your past. That's because those are failures if you have that many. Whereas MLTRs, you can have as many as you want. Those aren't failures. So I've had one OLTR and I've had one live-in OLTR, the same person. I've had one. So I haven't had multiple OLTRs. So I didn't have that problem with Pink Firefly. We had the OLTR talk, which is different than the talk, and she survived that just fine. And we moved in about 1.5 years after that. We were going to move in 6 months, and I delayed it because I was nervous. I want to make absolutely fucking sure, and I haven't had any problems. But I did everything correctly, and I took things very, very, very slowly. Most guys and most women, frankly, who have problems and live in relationships moved too quickly. You fell in love too fast. You made her your girlfriend way too fast. You moved in with her way too fast. Pink Firefly was an FB for 1 year. Then I didn't see her for an entire another year or other year. Then she was an MLTR for about 6 months. Then she became an OLTR. Not an OLTR wife, just an OLTR as a girlfriend. Then she was that OLTR for 1.5 years. Another 1.5 years. So how many years is that? 3, 4 years before she moved in? That's how you want to do this. That's why my marriage is so awesome. Because I took it fucking slow. I didn't rush into this shit. So there you go. Going on to this question. How did you deal with this? Never had that problem. It's difficult to soft next when they live at your place. Correction, it is impossible to soft next a woman if you live with her full time. I've discussed this before. That is what you give up. That weapon is what you give up when you move in with a woman. Instead, you have to use what's called the drama corrective procedure. I talk about that in the Open Marriage Manual at open-marriage.com. There's an entire chapter on how to handle drama when you can't soft next a woman because she lives with you full time. Any suggestions on quickly and easily getting out of the house with the least amount of drama and BS if they won't get with the program? Well, if you're following all the OLTR models, only one of you is on the lease. So it's either your house or her house, not both your homes. Or you're on the lease or she's on the lease, and that's it. Or she could be a tenant in common or what have you. So you just, and you've done the research, and I talk about this in the book, you've done the research in your city on the laws regarding landlords and you being able to kick out roommates. And all that's on your side. So you just kick her out. If she owns the house or she's on the lease, guess what? You pack your shit and you move out. It's even better. So you just do it. If she won't leave and you got to call the cops, then call the cops and do that. And then look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself why you were so fucking stupid to let a woman move into your house who was so insane she wouldn't leave when you told her to leave. Probably again because you rushed into it. Caleb, do you ever plan to renounce your U.S. citizenship? Plan is a strong word. Maybe. I want the option to do so. Right now, I don't even have the option because right now, at this moment, I only have one passport, a U.S. passport, which means I can't renounce. If I were to renounce now, I would strand myself in the United States forever, and I can't think of a worse hell than that. So I need to have 2 extra passports in addition to my American passport. Then I will have the option of renouncing, and at some point, the answer is probably yes. It'll be down the road, but probably yes. But Caleb, don't you realize there's an exit tax? Thank you very much. I know these numbers better than you do. Thank you very much. I've done all this research. I know exactly what's involved. Probably. Now, Pink Firefly will not. So Pink Firefly will always remain a legal American, which will be really beneficial to me to be married to an American, even if I'm no longer an American. So, but do I plan on it? I mean, no, but it's likely. Yeah. What websites or services do you use to find overseas virtual assistants, programmers, web designers overseas, people to go do cold calls, etc.? Upwork. Just start with Upwork. That's the biggest one. They bought out all the rest. Just start with Upwork, and you can find anything you want in Upwork. Upwork is not ideal. I don't like how the website's laid out. But frankly, I have someone on my staff now who does all my Upwork for me, so I don't even have to do it anymore. But Upwork.com. With negative yielding bonds, an all-time inflated stock market, and an inflated real estate bubble, what conservative investments would you recommend in general terms, not being specific, for preserving your wealth long-term and for your old age? Well, you can still, if you were buying bonds. If you're buying bonds now, that'd be okay. You can buy bonds now. Yeah, they'll be low, but so what? It's in a bubble, but so what? You'll still get paid if it's a big government. So you can do bonds if you really want to. Stocks, definitely not, although you could buy stocks in terms of a global stock index fund. Those are okay. Those are fine. In terms of conservative investments, those are really it. Also cash. I mean, a chunk of your investment should be in cash anyway. But Kayla, what about the dollar collapsing? Right. So what you do is you hedge your cash with gold. I have numerous articles about this in my blogs. So 30 to 50% of the cash that you hold should be the form of gold coins that you physically own. So I have a lot of cash. I got a lot. So 30, let's see, last time I checked it was 32%. Is that right? Yeah, I think it was 32% of the cash that I have in gold. So if there's a problem with the cash collapsing, my gold will protect me and it'll be fine. You can also do multiple currencies in multiple countries, especially if you have a lot of cash. If you have a lot of cash, you'll be leveraged in terms of a backup of gold, and then you want to have other currencies. So multiple currencies, cash backed by gold, bonds, and if you really want a worldwide stock index fund. That's the least bad you can do right now in terms of this. In terms of conservative investments, you could also do real estate if you're careful. Real estate could be considered a conservative investment if you're careful, if you're not doing anything stupid. Not commercial real estate, not the cool house with 5 bedrooms up on the hill. That's not that's not conservative. Normal real estate, boring real estate. That's okay too. Very big topic too. I'm butchering this topic because it's just a question I could answer in AMA like this, but that's my best way I could give it to you in a confined format like this. Can you provide any insight on Pink Firefly's FB life? How often does she see other men? What are logistics? Where they hang out? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, I can't give you details on her personal life, but what I have said and what I can tell you is she has no interest in that stuff. I mean, she just doesn't. She's a 41-year-old woman with high ASD, with a lot of Disney. As I've said before, do you really think she wants to spend her time going on Tinder and banging dudes or going out to bars and banging dudes? No, I mean, she didn't do that when she was single. She's very conservative that way, at least that way. In other ways, she's not conservative. But in that way, she just has no interest. So, I can't go into detail about it, but she has no interest. She just doesn't. Same guy. Is the goal of the Alpha Male 2.0 to achieve non-verbalized polygamy? You mean polyamory? In which you don't tell your OLTR she can't have sex with other men, but because you're so alpha, she chooses not to. The reason I ask is because you almost never talk about Pink Firefly having any FBs. Well, right. She has no interest and I do it. The answer is no, because you still give a shit whether or not she fucks other guys, and you shouldn't care. Outcome independence. So if you're saying, I'm not going to tell her that she can't fuck other guys, but I hope she doesn't, you're outcome dependent. You give a shit. You still have that neediness inside you. That beta male / alpha male 1.0 neediness. That, oh no, I hope she doesn't touch another guy's dick because then my fragile ego won't be able to handle it and my head will explode. I don't care. If Pink Firefly went out and fucked another guy wearing a condom, I don't give a fuck. I just don't care. Plus, I have a lot of experience having sex with girls who were having sex with other men. These men are all betas. All these fucking men are betas. They are not competition to you. Within a few times, these guys start slobbering all over these girls, and the girls go, oh, fuck these guys, and they go right back to you. It's happened numerous times in my past with numerous women. Don't worry about other men. They are not competition to the Alpha Male 2.0. It doesn't fucking matter, and you shouldn't fucking care. I don't fucking care what Pink Firefly does. If she were to fuck another guy, as long as he was wearing a condom, I don't give a shit. Now, if she wanted to date another guy, now we have a problem and the marriage is probably over. But that's different. We're talking about sex here. I think that's what you're asking about. So, no, that is not the goal of the Alpha Male 2.0. The goal of the Alpha Male 2.0 is to be very happy and not give a fuck what his women do when he's not around, including his OLTR, including his OLTR wife. That's a recurring theme here at Alpha Male 2.0. You should not give a fuck what your women do when you're not around. You should be focusing on your own life, your own mission, your businesses, fucking your other women. Focus on that, not what some girl is doing in her personal time when you're not around. That's her deal. Who cares? Fuck. Hi, Caleb. Hi. I plan to invest in high-yield dividend stocks and bonds the next few years. Okay. My portfolio will be diversified in different countries and asset allocations. Wonderful. Very good. My goal is to life from those earnings. I think you would live off those earnings. Would you consider that as LI income? Yes. Investment income is location independent income. Correct. Residual income is location independent by definition. Yes. Your issue is how much money are you going to need and how much money you need to have invested and how much money after taxes, capital gains taxes, if that applies in your area, do you need to pay your bills? So you're going to be working pretty hard. But yes, income from investments, passive income is location dependent. Yes. The only time it would not be location dependent is if you had rental properties that you yourself had to manage. So if you have to fly into a city and fix toilets or make sure the toilets get fixed, that's not location dependent. That's why the Alpha Male 2.0 real estate investor must use on-the-ground property managers you pay a percentage to. Then it's location dependent. They just mail you a check and you don't care. Checking the equipment here. We doing good? We're doing good. All right. Voice is starting to give out a little bit, but we're good. Probably because of goddamn jet lag, man. It sucks. I need them to cure jet lag. Can you please could one of you guys please invent something that will cure jet lag? Not alleviate it. I know there are techniques to cure it. Give me a pill I can take with no side effects where boom, my circadian rhythm automatically adjusts to new location or some kind of cybernetic implant where I can type in what city I'm in and press a button, boink, and I'm ready to go. Fuck yeah, man. Make me a cyborg. All right. When you were hitting online dating hard back in 2009 to 2011, you said you were overweight, balding, going through a divorce. Yes, all true. Yet those were some of your best years woman-wise. They weren't my best year. Well, so I said, you say some of my best years. Yeah, that was the time where there was the most amount of women in a combined period of time where I was dating literally 7 and 8 women at once. Yeah, and they were hot. So yeah, I mean, right now my woman life is fucking awesome, fucking amazing. But it was good back then too. So yes, okay. How much harder did you have? Excuse me, throat's giving out. How much harder did you have to work as opposed to now? Hang on a minute. Actually, hang on a second. I'm gonna go get some throat spray. I'll be right back. Hang on. Great, it's not working. Fucking hell, man. Are you fucking kidding me? All right, hang on a second. Okay. So my throat spray wasn't working. I had to swallow it. Yeah, it's good shit. By the way, those of you guys who speak a lot, Entertainer's Secret, this is really good. I make no money promoting this. This is something I use. Singers use this. It stimulates mucus production in your voice box and helps your throat a little bit. So when you're fucking jet lagged, you've been talking for 4 hours. Helps a little bit. It'll kick in a few minutes. Woo! All right. See if that helps. God damn, dude. You don't want to drink it. Aha. Okay. Continuing on with the question. Sorry about that. How much harder did you have to work as opposed to now that you're better looking and more experienced? A shitload. Are you insane? Oh my God, dude. I had to work 10 times harder. More than that. So originally I had a ratio of 1 new sexual encounter, 1 new lay. I don't like that term, but let's call it lay. 1 lay per 10 first dates. And that did not account for the fact that I was going on 2nd dates, 3rd dates, in some cases 4th dates, with many of those 10 to get to that 1. So it was fucking brutal. I had to work really, really hard. Thousands of openers, scores of first dates, 2nd dates, 3rd dates that didn't work. It was really terrible. I had to work really, really fucking hard. I mean, I shudder to think. Now, I put in the work, but like 2000, you said 2009, 2011, 2009 was one of my worst financial years ever. I barely made any money in 2009. You know why? Because I was spending my entire time trying to master my woman life and working, busting my ass. So I had to work really, really, really fucking hard. Now, I made it work, but yeah, I mean, I had to work much harder. Orders of magnitude. And I noticed the difference immediately when I fixed my hair. I have fake hair and lost my weight. There was an immediate difference when I lost the weight. Immediate. It's almost immediate. Yeah, honestly, yes. Plus, experience too. I got better with this. You get better with experience and you get more independent, become independent and all that stuff. So I had to work a lot harder. Yeah. No question about it. In your OLTR, if you found out when Pink Firefly, when you and Pink Firefly were getting very close, but she wasn't willing to do a prenup, or she wanted to talk to you every day or see you every day, and you weren't willing to do that, and you're right, I wouldn't have back then, would you have stopped seeing her? No, but she would have never been upgraded to OLTR. I would have kept her at the MLTR level. So I would just kept her at an MLTR level forever until she did a listen fitty and left and then came back later. But she would never have reached the OLTR level. That is a requirement for OLTR, is that she has to agree to these financial parameters and the non-monogamy parameters, although that's not what you mentioned. And she has to agree to your big thing. So my big thing is I work a lot. So I'm not going to fucking talk to you every day. I can't spend hours and hours with you every day. Her boyfriend prior to me years ago was the typical guy. He would work, was an auto mechanic or something like that. He would work all day and then go home and sit and watch TV for like 5 hours. They would eat dinner and they would just sit and watch TV for 5-6 hours and go to bed. And I had explained to her, you will never have a relationship like that with me, ever. I don't have that kind of fucking time. I got shit to do. I have a life. So no, I'll give you an hour and a half of the evening, which I do every evening, and we can sit and have dinner and watch one TV show that is 1 hour, and then I get right back to work. And I'll give you Sundays too. That's what I compromised. But yes, I would not have stopped seeing her. I wouldn't say, I'm never seeing you. You're done. No, I would have just kept her at the MLTR level. She would never have been upgraded to OLTR. Unlike the MLTR, OLTR has requirements that women must achieve. There are requirements women must accomplish to get to the OLTR level. You don't just award a woman OLTR because she wants to be your girlfriend. No. You can give any woman MLTR if you want, but not OLTR. Fuck no. She has to agree to some shit. Or else, no, deal's off. Not going to not see her, though. Just, I would have kept seeing her, sure. In terms of getting rejected, there's a guy I follow, Mike Melman, who says that women will ghost and reject women most of the time. Well, of course, that's true, yes. Most women will reject you in any sort of game. That's the norm. He also believes that to be the case no matter what you say or do, correct? And he says the best way to approach women is to go up and wing your conversations and be as forward as you can. What are your thoughts on that? He has also done 40,000 day game approaches. Well, that is the indirect game versus direct game conversation. So the first half of your question, yes, most women are going to reject you even if you do everything perfectly. That's why you have to put in the numbers. Your woman life, your dating life is a numbers game. Abso-fucking-lutely, and there's no way of getting around that. I've said that many times. Correct. In terms of direct game versus indirect game and day game, I'm not a day game guy. So, I really can't address that. I've done day game in the past. I'm not a day game expert. Clearly, he knows more about it than I do. He's a day game guy. What I can tell you about direct versus indirect is that if you're an older man approaching much younger women, which is what I was doing during day game, you have to be indirect. You cannot do direct game if you look more than 10 years older or more than the woman you are approaching during day game. You must be indirect. If you go up there and call her sexy and cute and you look 47 and she's 18, it ain't gonna work. I'm sorry. Ain't gonna work. You gotta be very indirect and then be aggressive later. But that's the difference. But that's all I can really contribute to that conversation. I'm not a day game guy. Caleb, I know I would like to settle down with a woman one day. Most men do. Most men will, I should say. But I see how raw of a deal marriage is for men. Correct. If I just had a live-in OLTR when I was in my 30s, would there be women who would be willing to do that long term? Yeah, I'm married to one. I've said this before. During those years, between 2009 and 2015-ish, I averaged 2 marriage proposals from 2 different women per year. Women who wanted an OLTR marriage with me. These were women who knew that I would make them sign it, or they would make them, that who had to sign a prenup or something similar to that to protect my finances. And they knew I would be having sex with other women. And they said, yes, I'll sign whatever you want. Yes, you can fuck other girls. Please move in with me, or please marry me. Yes, numerous women who asked me that, who I turned down. So yes, the world is full of women who will agree to an OLTR marriage, provided you do it correctly, provided you approach these women correctly, which most men do not. Most men attempt this shit when they're already monogamous. And they look at their arm, they say, so what do you think about me fucking other women? And then the women explode. That doesn't work. No. You have to start off non-monogamous from day one, move her through MLTR, at least 6 months with no problems, then do the OLTR talk and follow the correct procedure. Most women will agree to this. If you follow this correctly, certainly most women under the age of 33. And Pink Firefly was over the age of 33. She was 33 when I first met her. So she was 35, 36, 37 when we had that talk. So yeah. You're fine. As long as you do it right, most men don't. It's very important. Will you tell us why 2020 was the best year yet for your woman life? I don't think I can. I would have to get into some specifics that I really don't think I can do. I'll give you some generalities. So it's the quality of the women, and it's the context under the way in which you have sex with women. Both these things got way better, and they were already amazing. So the quality of women, okay, that is amazing right now. The context under which I have sex with these women, the way in which I want to have sex, and the scenarios under which I want to have sex with these women, OLTR marriage plus FBs, running like a top, doing that perfectly, it's all good. Matter of fact, I live now the model that I've always wanted. I always wanted an OLTR wife who was really amazing, really low drama, super fucking hot, with super hot young FBs on the side, who I saw on a regular basis. That's exactly what I have now. It's awesome. And it's to levels beyond a 10 in both those areas. So that's it. The best I can give you. As an alpha male 2.0, I know being masculine is important, but some guys talk about holding a masculine frame and not being goofy or corny. How do you feel about that? Because I notice sometimes you act goofy and I think you are very masculine. So what these guys are referring to is being a clown for women in dating or pickup scenarios, trying to be the funny clown guy, making women laugh. And as the old statement goes, the funny guy gets you liked, not laid. Being funny and being a clown gets you liked, but not laid. So the guy at the party who's really funny and all the girls are laughing at, he's not banging those chicks, with rare exceptions. Who's banging all the chicks? Or who's already fucked all those girls? The cool guy in the back of the room, sitting with his back against the wall, the smile on his face, with one hot girl next to him. So he might have one. This is how it works. The guy at the party with one hot girl sitting next to him is the guy who has fucked everyone in the party, not the clown guy in the front of the party with 4 or 5 really hot girls surrounding him and laughing at his jokes. He's not fucking them. The guy in the back room did. All the way back to high school, I noticed this model. So, yeah, I'm very goofy. I'm a goofball. I'm a fucking dork. Yeah, man. But I'm not on first dates. I'm not acting goofy and trying to entertain girls. I'm acting very outcome independent like I am now, but I'm not cracking jokes and trying to be funny to impress girls. No, I'm trying to build sexual tension, which is the opposite of being goofy. By the way, you should be funny a little bit. You should make women laugh occasionally to bring down the nervousness on a first date. That's very important. But that's different than being a clown. So that's what those guys are talking about, I'm assuming. I think we're coming up to the last questions here. Holy shit, guys. Let's see. A follow-up to the question I asked earlier. I know that the most hotly debated subject in the PUA Red Pill Manosphere community regarding women is looks versus game. Yeah, probably. Now, I know you've written multiple articles about this. Yes, I have talked at length about this, but would you be willing to make a video or discuss here why it's a bit more nuanced than people realize? I'll summarize it. Both sides are wrong. Extremists on both sides are wrong. So let's start with the hardcore PUA guys who say it's all about game. If you have game, you can fuck anybody. No, you can't fuck anybody. I'm sorry, you can't. No, you can't just fuck anyone using game. You'll get laid using game, but you can't just fuck any. You can get any girl you want using game. No, you can't. Like I talked about earlier with the celebrity thing. If you said, Caleb, go fuck Scarlett Johansson using your game, I couldn't do it. Or the odds would be very, very low. But if you said, Caleb, go fuck any A-list celebrity using your game, I could do it. See the difference? So that's not how it works. Now, then you have the guys who say it's all about looks. It's all about looks. It's all about SMV. It's all about looks, having six-pack abs, being a male model, or having millions of dollars and making it rain on women. As I have said and pointed out numerous times, there are YouTube videos of gorgeous, ripped guys with six-pack abs who are fucking gorgeous, who are crying into the camera because they've never kissed a girl. There was that guy, Elliot Rodger, who looked like a fucking teen heartthrob, who was good-looking and wealthy, drove a Porsche or whatever. Never kissed a girl. Well, how do you explain that? How do you explain that if looks, it's all about looks, it's all about SMV? There are guys who are multimillionaires on the dating sites, on the sugar daddy sites, who offer women $10,000 to have sex with them and they never get laid. How do you explain that if it's all about money and all about SMV? It's not. It's not about that. Now, does looks help? Of course they help. Of course. If you have my personality, my outcome independence, my game, my confidence, all that stuff, and you look better than me, you will outperform me if I put in the same amount of work. Of course that's true. Of course. So it helps. And you should optimize your looks as best you can, certainly as you get older. That is absolutely true. So looks and game are both really, really important. But anyone who says it's 100% about game, it doesn't matter how you look, is incorrect. And anyone who says it's 100% about looks, game doesn't help at all, is provably incorrect. So that's the bottom line I can give on that. All right, last question, guys. Holy shit. I have no idea how long we've gone because I've done multiple videos. I guess you guys know. Caleb, will you do a reaction to this video? What video? Oh, I did see that video. Yes, it's about a woman who sleeps with married men in order to save their marriages. I glanced at the video. It's a woman who fucks married guys, and she is not a home wrecker. She doesn't want to date married guys. She doesn't want married guys to like go after her. I have no reaction to it other than monogamy doesn't work. Yeah, I mean, guys who are married want to fuck other women because they're guys. I don't know if she's saving the marriages. I guess you could in some cases. The reason that a lot of marriages go from monogamous to open is because one spouse loses interest in sex or physically can't have sex because of medical reasons, and the other spouse needs to get laid, so they just make a deal and they take care of it. I have known at least two couples like this who started monogamous, and then one in particular was a woman who had very serious health problems. She couldn't physically have sex. It was very hard for her. So she pulled her husband aside one day and said, look, I can't have sex with you. I want you to be happy. I love you. So if you need to go out and find a friend to, pump and dump and have sex with when you need to, that's perfectly cool with me. I perfectly understand that. Perfectly fine. So it's just really a variation on that. I think it's fine. The bottom line is people shouldn't even attempt long-term monogamy because it doesn't fucking work. If you want to settle down with someone long-term, make it open. Be a goddamn adult and say, look, we are two adults. We're not 16-year-olds who think everything's going to be perfect because we're in love. We're adults. We understand how humans work. At some point, you, honey, are not going to want to have sex with me, or at least have sex with me as often, but I'm still a man. I still need to do this. Let's figure this out. Let's figure out options for you and I, or just me, or whatever we want, to go get these needs met outside of the marriage so we can stay together and still be a wonderful couple. I would like to be married to Pink Firefly for the rest of my life, even after she gets old and looks gross. That doesn't bother me, especially when I'm non-monogamous and I can still get laid on the side. Even when I get really old, I'd still like to be with her the rest of my life. It has nothing to do with the fact that we can't or can have sex with other people. People just need to grow up and be adults about this. And society is getting better about this. Society is getting worse about everything else, but it is getting better about accepting non-monogamous marriages, non-monogamous relationships. I am running into a lot more people these days, certainly the last 5-6 years, where I talk about my open marriage and I go, oh, that's cool. Whereas years ago, people went, well, that's weird. What the fuck? Or women who already have open relationships with their boyfriends or husbands. I'm running into more and more and more of that. So people are slowly, ever so slowly, not fast enough, waking up to these concepts. but they'll get there eventually. All right, guys, that's it. I am very tired. Actually, not tired. My voice is very tired. I'm not tired, but my voice is worn out, probably because of that fucking jet lag. So maybe I'll do this again in a few weeks or a month or two. These are kind of fun. And I know you guys have been asking about me to do a live stream. I don't like live streams. It's a pain in my ass time management wise. And then you have problems and you go, oh wait, can you guys still see me? And people say, hey, I can't see you. I can't see you. And then they think it's you. Caleb, plug your laptop in. Caleb, make sure your Wi-Fi, and it's not you. It's fucking YouTube or Webinar Jam or whatever. But maybe I'll do those in the future. Maybe. I always do those twice a month, live stream, full questions with coaching at the SMIC program at joinsmic.com. So if you're interested in that, check that out. Otherwise, I will see you very soon. Have fun. Bye.